तेजोऽसि तत्ते प्रयच्छामि तेजस्वदस्तु मे मुखम् तेजस्वच्छिरो अस्तु मे तेजस्वान् विश्वतः प्रत्यन् तेजसा सम्पिपृग्धि माम्. O Lord, you are the origin of all effulgence. May your effulgence express in me and all the beings in the world. May we progress with your effulgence. Om Shri Sai Ram. I offer my most loving and humble pranams at the divine lotus feet of our beloved Bhagwan, Sri Satya Sai Baba. On behalf of the entire team of the Sri Satya Sai National Leadership Program for Self-Transformation, I, Gayatri Krishnamurthy from Delhi, would like to extend my deepest regards and warm welcome to all our respected dignitaries, sisters and brothers who have joined us on this momentous occasion. The cultivation of human values alone is true education. In consonance with Bhagwan's teachings, this program, a unique collaboration between the Sri Satya Sai Seva Organizations India and the Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning Prashanti Nilayam, represents a beautiful confluence of the eternal human values that set the foundation for self-mastery and values-based leadership. Even as Bhagwan inspired us that my life is my message, he has also given us the responsibility to follow his teachings by saying, your life is my message. This program has truly given us the roadmap to rise to Bhagwan's expectations. Indeed, there has been a transformation of great affirmation and reformation, sculpting of a personality that is infused with spirituality, strongly resonating with passion, with patience and compassion. As we gather today to celebrate our valedictory ceremony, it does not mark the conclusion, but rather just the beginning of our journey of self-transformation. With this, we commence the ceremony, and I am deeply honored to be introducing the speaker for the welcome address, the Registrar of the Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Professor B. Sai Giridhar. Professor Sai Giridhar was appointed as the 5th Registrar of the Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, deemed to be university, in May 2018. He enrolled as a student of the first batch of the integrated BCom program at the university in 1982 and was awarded the University All-Round Gold Medal in 1986. He completed his MCom in 1987 at the institute, and subsequently in 1993 he was awarded his PhD in the area of multi-echelon distribution inventory systems. In 1992, he joined the Department of Management and Commerce as a faculty member with expertise in finance. Professor Sai Giridhar was also the Deputy Director of the Prashanti Nilayam campus of the university from 2014 to 2015. In 2015, he was appointed as the Head, Department of Management and Commerce for a period of 3 years. I now request Professor Sai Giridhar to kindly deliver the welcome address.
Om Shri Sai Ram. I offer my most loving pranams at the lotus feet of our most beloved Bhagavan. Honorable Chancellor Sri K. Chakravarti, IAS retired. Sri R.J. Ratnakar, Managing Trustee, Sri Satya Sai Central Trust. Professor Dr. C.B. Sanjeevi, Vice Chancellor, Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Sri Nimish Pandya, All India President, Sri Sathya Sai Seva Organizations, India, Sri Sanjay Sahani, Controller of Examinations, Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Padma Shri T.V. Mohandas Pai, Chairman, Manipal Global Education, who is going to deliver the valedictory address, Dr. P. Gopi Krishna, Convener, Sri Sathya Sai National Leadership Program for Self-Transformation, invitees and participants. I take this opportunity to congratulate all the 182 participants for successfully completing their program on Sri Sathya Sai National Leadership for Self-Transformation. This is the first of its kind which has happened in collaboration between Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning and Sri Sathya Sai Seva organizations. If you go by the title of the course, which all of you will have gone through, it talks of self-transformation. What is the self-transformation? Why do we have to think of self-transformation? Bhagwan always says that if you are talking of a leader should have unity of thought, word, and deed. When there's unity of thought, word, and deed, the leader becomes a Mahatma. Why? Because he creates an environment of trust. We can go by what he says, and what he does will be based on what he says, and the end result will also coincide with what has been expressed. We have two types of leaders that we come by. A leader by designation or position, or a leader who endears himself. He doesn't have a designation or position. But this is where you find that when we endear ourselves, we empathize with people, we are able to understand their feeling and respond accordingly. The role that a person can play when he does this is very significant. Bhagwan says, love all, serve all. Help ever, hurt never. As a leader, at times, we may be tied up with a lot of things. And one harsh word which we say can impact anyone for the rest of his life. We should ensure that our actions or our words do not create a sense of pain in anyone. Jack Welch says, when we talk of a leadership, success when you are not a leader is in growing yourself. Once you become a leader, success is ensuring that all others grow. If Bhagwan blesses us with an opportunity to undertake some of his activity, we should ensure that everyone participates, everyone joyfully gets themselves involved in achieving the goal which Bhagwan has set for us. Equality is a hallmark of a leader. If we take the example which was set by Lord Rama, his father, King Dasharatha, announced to him that he's going to be coronated as king of Ayodhya. The entire kingdom was very joyous on hearing this news. After a period of time, he was told that he has to go to the forest and he has to be in exile for a period of 14 years. We can observe that he was neither elated on the prospect of being crowned as a king, or on the aspect of that he has got to go and remain in the forest for the next 14 years. This is where a leader shows his magnanimity, equanimity, and acts as a guiding light for all of us. Avatar does not need to go through this, but just to give us an example which we can emulate, he goes through all the hardships. This is where we will also have to be careful if you have been blessed with an opportunity to take a leadership role. As it happened in the case of Lord Rama, when the news of he having to go to exile was broken, you found that so many people came up and told to him, Lord, you don't need to obey this because this is not from the king, but it is from your father. So people came up with all possible reasons for him to say, yes, it is not something which I need to observe and go to the forest, stay here. But Lord Rama, in order to set an example, he said, whether it has been told by my father or the king of this kingdom, it is the same for me. So this is where we find that we need to be careful. We always have got to ensure that we keep the Lord always as a factor who is going to bless and guide us. In conclusion, I would once again congratulate all the participants who have successfully completed the course. I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts with all of you all. Thank you. Sai Ram.
Om Shri Sai Ram, invoking the divine blessings of our most loving Lord, Bhagavan Shri Satya Sai Baba. It is a great privilege bestowed upon me to present to you the first batch of candidates who are to graduate on this memorable day. I am Shruti Garve, a candidate from the batch of 2020 from the state of Maharashtra. Bhagwan Baba often says, the end of wisdom is freedom. The end of culture is perfection. The end of knowledge is love. The end of education is character. We shall now present to you the first set of candidates out of 182 candidates. The candidates are from the states of Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, Chennai Metro, Chhattisgarh, Delhi, Gujarat and Uttarakhand. Congratulations to each one of you. Presenting to you the candidates out of 182 candidates.
Dear brothers and sisters, let us now begin with the state of Andhra Pradesh. Miss Nagaramya, Miss Sai Archana, Dr. Satya Shravani, Miss Navya, Mr. Anil Kumar, Mr. Sai Pradeep, Mr. Kondala Ramu, Mr. Ganesh Malela, Mr. Fanindra Kumar Reddy, Mr. Vinod Kumar, Mr. Sivasai Krishna, Mr. Sri Krishna Murthy, Mr. Sashikant, Mr. Sai Veer. Brothers and sisters, presenting to you the state of Bihar. Mr. Priyaranjan, Mr. Shobhakant Roy, Mr. Suraj Kumar, Mr. Vishwajit Singh. Brothers and sisters, let's move on to Chennai Metro. Miss Asha K, Miss Priya Ramani, Miss Sai Mahalakshmi, Miss Suvatika, Miss Swati Vasudevan, Mr. Anand, Mr. Satyanarayanan, Mr. Abhinash, Mr. Manosundar Elaya, Mr. Raghuram Ganeshan, Mr. Rahul S. Brothers and sisters, let's move on to Chhattisgarh. Miss Rajni, Miss Saisha, Miss Suhasini, Mr. Ajitesh Sagar, Mr. Keshav, Mr. Murad Dhwaj. Brothers and sisters, presenting to you the state of Delhi. Miss Anasuya, Miss Deepika Sharma, Miss Gayatri Krishnamurthy, Mr. Karan Mehra, Mr. Karthik Bhashyam. Brothers and sisters, it's time for the state of Gujarat. Dr. Nirali Anil Kumar, Miss Priyanka Ramesh Kumar, Mr. Akshat Arora, Mr. Hardik Anil Bhai, Mr. Hirak Mahesh Bhai, Mr. Jayesh Bhai Mistri, Mr. Rishwik Sharma, Mr. Narendra Kumar, Mr. Satyam Godbole, Mr. Tarun Om Prakash. Brothers and sisters, let's move on to the state of Uttarakhand. Mr. Praveen Bhatt.
Om Shri Sai Ram. Music enthralls the Lord. The Lord is Ganapriya. He once told the celestial sage Narada, Mad bhaktaha yatra gayanti, tatra tishtami Narada. O Narada, I install myself wherever my glory is sung. The students of the Sri Satya Sai National Leadership Program offer their prayerful gratitude to you, Bhagwan, in the form of a song. The song very aptly describes you as their friend who's been their companion and guide through the 9-month journey in this program. They pray to you, Bhagwan, to make them an instrument in your hands and help them serve mankind. O Swami, please accept their prayers and bless them with abundant grace. O Nestama, Priyamaina Bandhama.
గడిచే ప్రతి క్షణం నీతోనే గడపాలని గడిచే ప్రతి క్షణం నీతోనే గడపాలని మేము వినే పదాలన్నీ నీ మాటలే కావాలని గడిచే ప్రతి క్షణం నీతోనే గడపాలని మేము వినే పదాలన్నీ నీ మాటలే కావాలని మాలోని తలపులన్నీ నీకు వివరించాలని క్రియలన్నీ కర్తకే అంకితము చేయాలని వేచియున్నాము ఈ రోజుకై. ఓ నేస్తమా, ప్రియమైన బంధమా, ప్రేమకు రూపమా, మా అందరి ప్రాణమా. ఓ నేస్తమా, జీవన వేణువులో మోహన రాగం పలికించే జీవన వేణువులో మోహన రాగం పలికించే ప్రతి మనసులో నీ ప్రేమ సుధలు పొందించి జీవన వేణువులో మోహన రాగం పలికించి ప్రతి మనసులో నీ ప్రేమ సుధలు పొందించి ఆనందముతో దిని భూమి పులకించగా ఆనందముతో దిని భూమి పులకించగా మాటలాడవా మాటలాడవా ఓ నేస్తమా, ప్రియమైన బంధమా, ప్రేమకు రూపమా, మా అందరి ప్రాణమా. ఓ నేస్తమా,
Om Shri Sai Ram. Invoking the divine blessings of our Bhagwan Shri Satya Sai Baba, I am pleased to present the chosen leaders who are graduating in the very first batch of Shri Satya Sai National Leadership Program for Self-Transformation from the states of Himachal Pradesh, Haryana and Chandigarh, Karnataka, Kerala, Jharkhand and Madhya Pradesh. As Swami says, leadership lies in the spirit of service. I hope and pray to Bhagwan that he blesses each one of you to lead wherever you go with the spirit of selfless service. Jai Sai Ram.
Brothers and sisters, let's start with Haryana and Chandigarh. Miss Aradhana, Miss Isha, Miss Vineet Sharma, Mr. Ankush Garg, Mr. Nikhil Sai Anand, Mr. Prashant Singla, Mr. Prashant Garg, Mr. Rajan Sharma, Mr. Varun Verma. Brothers and sisters, it's time for the state of Himachal Pradesh. Miss Anjana Thakur, Miss Monica Verma, Miss Mudita Kumari, Miss Parveena Kaushal, Miss Shifali Mahajan, Mr. Ashish Diman, Mr. Nitesh Verma, Mr. Praduman Sharma. Brothers and sisters, it's time for the state of Jharkhand. Miss Bhairi Meenakshi, Miss Ragini Kumari, Miss Sucheta Chakrabarti, Mr. Pradeep Kumar, Mr. Raja Rao, Mr. Ramesh Kumar, Mr. Ritik Kumar Singh, Mr. Sanju Kumar. Brothers and sisters, let's move on to the state of Karnataka. Miss Alekhya Reddy, Miss Lakshmi Srinivasan, Miss Shreya Rao, Mr. Abhishek, Mr. Akshay Chidambar, Mr. Anil, Mr. Sanjay Jayant, Mr. Venkatesh Patil. Brothers and sisters, it's time for the state of Kerala. Miss Sai Sangeeta, Miss Sukrishna, Mr. Arun Ajit, Mr. Arun Das, Mr. Bajit P, Mr. Sai Abhijit, Mr. Sai Visal K. Brothers and sisters, let's move on to the state of Madhya Pradesh. Miss Nistha Joshi, Dr. Shubhada S, Dr. Surabhi Avasti, Mr. Aishwarya Srivastava, Mr. Devdar Vivedi, Mr. Saket Srivastava, Mr. Vikramaditya Avasti.
Om Sri Sai Ram. On this auspicious day, I seek the divine blessings of our most beloved Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba and invoke for his immense grace on all of us. I am pleased and privileged to present to you the chosen leaders who are graduating today in the very first batch of Sri Satya Sai National Leadership Program for Self-Transformation from the states of Maharashtra, Manipur, Mumbai Metro, Odisha, Punjab, Rajasthan, Sikkim, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal. Swami says, leadership is idealism in action, and leadership lies in the spirit of selfless service. These 9 months of training have been immensely stimulating and significantly instrumental in instilling a sense of utmost dedication, commitment and sincerity, and an urge to put into practice the most valuable and essential lessons of life. I pray at the lotus feet of our most beloved Bhagavan for His choicest blessings on each of our participants to lead their lives with the spirit of selfless service. May our actions be exemplary and pave the way for the generations to come. Jai Sai Ram.
Brothers and sisters, let's begin with Maharashtra. Miss Akanksha Nikhil, Miss Dishi Rajesh, Miss Shruti Gadve, Dr. Sunaina, Mr. Mahesh Nagnath, Dr. Nikhil Suresh, Mr. Sailesh Natarajan, Mr. Satyam Sanjay. Brothers and sisters, it's time for the stage of Manipur. Miss Dolly Devi, Miss Gantoy Devi, Mr. Calvin, Mr. Russell Singh, Mr. Tapas Chanambam. Brothers and sisters, presenting to you Mumbai Metro. Miss Meenakshi Gopalakrishnan, Miss Suhana, Miss Veena, Mr. Arjun Jaira, Mr. Naveen Raja, Mr. Ravi. Brothers and sisters, let's move on to the state of Odisha. Miss Anita Vidyulata, Miss Surekha, Dr. Swati Patnaik, Mr. Debashish Charan Mehra, Mr. Jayanta Nayak, Mr. Pratyush Kumar Mehra, Mr. Sailesh Das, Mr. Sairaj Patnaik, Mr. Sanjay Kumar Das, Mr. Siddhartha Kumar, Mr. Seetal Swaroop, Mr. Subrat Manohar, Mr. Swaroop Redbuck. Brothers and sisters, let's move on to the state of Punjab. Miss Raman Sharma, Miss Sai Vibhuti Sharma, Mr. Himanshu Sharma, Mr. Kashish Datta, Mr. Prabhat Kumar, Mr. Sahil, Mr. Vincent. Brothers and sisters, presenting to you Rajasthan. Miss Kritika Sharma, Miss Riya Sharma, Miss Vibhuti Ojha, Mr. Shubham Chauhan. Brothers and sisters, presenting to you Sikkim. Miss Pallavi Pradhan, Miss Sandhya Diyalu, Miss Yuden Bhutia, Mr. Abhishek Sharma, Mr. Pranay Giri. Miss Archana, Miss Gayatri, Miss Meenakshi Parvati, Miss Subbalakshmi, Mr. Krishna Subramanian, Mr. Neelakantan, Mr. Sangeet Kumar, Mr. Anant Raman, Mr. Shrikant, Mr. Devarajan, Mr. Vishwanathan, Mr. Sekhar Babu. Brothers and sisters, presenting to you Telangana, Miss Chitrapriya, Miss Jyotirmai, Miss Divyashri, Mr. Achyut, Mr. Aditya, Mr. Anjaneyulu, Mr. Satyaranganath, Mr. Sai Mohan Krishna, Mr. Shrikar, Mr. Sainath Raju. Brothers and sisters, presenting to you Uttar Pradesh, Miss Divya Srivastava, Miss Kashish Malhotra, Mr. Arun Ailani, Mr. Nishant Verma, Mr. Parichay Garg, Dr. Praveen Joshi, Mr. Yuvraj Singh. Brothers and sisters, presenting to you West Bengal, Miss Pooja, Miss Subhala, Mr. Rikshit Pradhan, Mr. Sai Prakash, Mr. Saudip, Mr. Soumyadip, Mr. Subrajyoti Chongtan.
My humble pranams at the lotus feet of our beloved Lord Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba. It is a moment of immense pride and prestige for me to introduce Dr. C.B. Sanjeevi, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, a Dean to the University. We are honored, sir, to have you grace this occasion. Born in 1958 in Chennai to a devout Sai family, Dr. C.B. Sanjeevi has an MSc degree in immunology from the UK, and he's also pursued his PhD from the Karolinska Institute, Stockholm, Sweden. Dr. C.B. Sanjeevi has been in the field of diabetes and immunogenetics research for more than 2 decades. He has been a visiting faculty at the Sri Satya Sai University for more than 15 years in the Department of Biosciences. In recognition and honor of his exceptional and meritorious contribution to the field of medicine and research, as well as the Indian diaspora in Sweden, the Government of India felicitated Dr. C.B. Sanjeevi with the Pravasi Bharati Samman Award in 2017. I request you, Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, to address the gathering. Thank you. Sairam.
Sairam, my humble pranams at the lotus feet of Bhagwan. Revered Chancellor Sri Chakravarti Garu, Mr. Ratnakar, Managing Trustee of Sri Satya Sai Central Trust, Mr. Nimish Pandya, President of the All India Sri Satya Sai Seva Organizations, Mr. Sai Giridhar, Registrar of Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, my dear brothers and sisters. The topic I am going to talk today is about the collective leadership to achieve a desired goal. So what is collective leadership? The collective leadership is not actually a proper business term, but a social term to describe an ideal society where all members work together to achieve a common goal with the effort and responsibility spread equally. The cooperation between different teams or different leaders is vital. The cooperation is determined by the trust developed between them, the transparency, effective communication between the leaders, responsibility and accountability for all those involved. But most importantly, faith is important in this process, and belief in Bhagwan is very important in a Sai setting. The success in the organization structure as well as the culture of the organization where the leaders are involved is very important. The most important aspect for the success of collective leadership is that the leaders should be motivated by one common interest or work towards one common objective. In Satyasai organizations, wherever you take, whichever organization you are talking about, the topmost in the mind of all the people is Bhagwan and Bhagwan's teachings. That determines the common goal for everybody to succeed and cooperate in their endeavor. So, in order to describe the collective leadership in a Sai setting, I need to give you a few examples of how it had worked in our hands. So, sometime in the month of April, when we conducted the exams for the boys and girls of Sai Satyasai Institute of Higher Learning, there was a clampdown. There was some relaxation of the clampdown when we were allowed to send our boys and girls back to their respective homes, which were in different states in India. Some of the states were even as far as Bengal and Bihar. So it was quite a big task for us to arrange everything, get the buses in order, just distribute the students depending on their destination, find the responsible doctoral scholars who will accompany the students. This is one task. This requires cooperation between the heads of the different campuses and the administration at SSIHL and also with the transport company. This is one aspect. Second aspect is that we had to cooperate very intensely with All India President Mrs. Nimish Pandya and also through him with different state presidents of Sri Sathya Sai organization, because the buses that carry the students had to go past many of the states. And in many of the states, especially for instance those going to Bengal and Bihar, which I commonly use as an example, has taken 4 or 5 days for them to reach their homes from the time they left the campuses here. So people have to plan various stops where they will stop for breakfast or lunch or dinner. And we also had to arrange for the boys and girls to stay wherever that stop is. So for this, the district presidents or the state presidents or the circle Sai Samiti heads had all come together and gave immense cooperation. They brought food for the boys and girls. They arranged for restrooms. They arranged for accommodation for them to sleep before they could proceed on with their travel to the next particular stop in their 4 or 5 days of travel to their respective homes. Wherever the stops is, it were pre-planned, and all the respective parents of those students were informed to come to a particular point to collect their children. So this required enormous cooperation and of course a lot of individual leaderships that were taken and exhibited by different sets of people in different places. We thought it was an impossible task, but we were able to achieve the task with a fantastic cooperation of all the people involved. And above all, with the blessings of Bhagwan, we were able to achieve this with total perfection. Without Bhagwan's grace, this could not have been possible at all. I have one more example to share on the collective leadership that we had exhibited on another occasion. So in the month of August, September, we had to conduct examinations for the students. We did admission test and we also did the end semester exam for those students who are in the third year undergraduate and second year postgraduates. But we decided to do this online. And that, when we checked, was becoming a little harder. So what happened was, we went ahead and spoke to the Satyasai Seva organization, the state presidents, because the students who were taking the exams came from 18 states in India. So all the heads of the Satyasai Seva organization in those 18 states came together, and we had 60 centers for the exam. One of them happened to be in the United States as well. And the local Sai Samiti individuals had to take the role of invigilator or proctor, and the students had to take the exam. And it went on very smoothly without any hitch. There was one occasion one student became little sick. He had a fever. Instead of making the student come to the examination center, which is the local samiti head actually went to the student's home and did the examination in the student home. So when we started planning for this, we were amazed or we were frightened how we could achieve a successful examination in 60 centers. But when it all ended, we were amazed at the whole thing. And we were very much thanking Bhagwan for his grace and cooperation and support. Without Bhagwan's grace, this could not have happened to have conducted for the first time ever in 60 centers. So, in order to understand what Bhagwan has said for us, this small clip that you will see tells us that our faith and our belief in Bhagwan is important for us to succeed in any endeavor.
If you want to be dear friends of Bhagavan, conduct yourself properly. You don't need to come here. Bhagavan will come to you.
I will come there, wherever you stay.
Bhagavan promises, I will come there.
Wherever
I
you
will come
stay,
there.
I will come there.
Bhagavan will come to you.
I am with you,
And with you.
in you, around you, behind you.
Bhagavan promises, declares that Bhagavan is in you, with you, around you.
బుద్ధులు మీలో అభివృద్ధి పరచుకుంటే
If you have that determined feeling,
I am not separate from you.
Bhagavan is not separate from you.
I and you are one.
Bhagavan says, I and you are one.
Now that you heard the clip, you would realize one of the hallmarks of working in Bhagwan's organization is intense cooperation between these organizations involved. And this cooperation is nothing but an example of collective leadership. With this, I conclude. Thank you very much for listening, and Sairam.
I'd like to thank Dr. C.B. Sanjeevi, our Honorable Vice Chancellor of CSI Institute of Higher Learning, for sharing his thoughts with us today. Thank you, sir. It is always a pleasure to hear from you. Sairam.
Om Shri Sairam. A convocation ceremony holds a very important place in every student's heart. It not only marks the fruition of all the hard work, dedication, and commitment, but also the wonderful memories associated with it. To help us reminisce this lifetime experience, we, the batch of 2020, have penned down our thoughts in a souvenir entitled Class Book of 2020. I, Arjun Rao, a student of this program from Mumbai, am extremely grateful to have been given this opportunity to offer this souvenir of the batch of 2020 at the lotus feet of our beloved Bhagwan Shri Satya Sai Baba. Thank you. Jai Sai Ram.
It is now my utmost pleasure to introduce the next speaker of the day, who is none other than Sri Nimish Pandya, who hails from a family of attorneys and is a practicing advocate at the Bombay High Court and is the public notary. Sir heads the law firms of Pandya & Co. and he specializes in corporate law and real estate. Sir is also the chairman of Pandya & Juris LLP, an international law firm specializing in taxation and media laws. Shri Nimish Pandya is the All India President of Sri Satya Sai Seva Organizations India, which is the largest spiritual service organization in the world. Nimish Bhai, as he is lovingly called, has been actively involved in the Sri Satya Sai Bal Vikas program since several years and has been associated with the education in human values programs since its inception. A prolific speaker on any given topic and a dramatist par excellence who has directed several value-based drama and ballet with children and youth based on value education and character formation. I now humbly invite you to address us, Sarah.
So wait, let me hear. Huh? When he says, over to you, I have to hear.
So over to you, sir.
Okay. Om Shri Sai Ram. Offering our most humble salutations at the divine lotus feet of our beloved Bhagwan. On behalf of all of us today, I offer my gratitude at the divine lotus feet for affording us this great opportunity to be at it in his presence. I'm very sure Bhagwan is there right now with us, sitting as the eternal chancellor, guiding all of us in this endeavor of ours. Dear brothers and sisters, today indeed is a great occasion. An occasion where, in sync with what our Honorable Vice Chancellor spoke of collective leadership, for the first time, the Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning and the Sri Sathya Sai Seva Organization in India have partnered together to create this certificate course for the benefit of our young brothers and sisters from all over India. Most respected Chancellor Sri Chakravarti sir, respected Vice Chancellor Sri Sanjeevi, Sri Ratnakar, Managing Trustee Sri Sathya Sai Central Trust, Sri Sai Girdhar, the Honorable Registrar of our university, the convener of the program, Dr. Gopi Pidatala, the members of the Academic Council, all very, very senior people who have really worked hard towards this completion, my brothers and sisters, participants and graduates of this course. I pray to Bhagwan to bless all of us in this endeavor. What I need to say, brothers and sisters, is very simple, that we are all here to fulfill Bhagwan's mandate. To us, the greatest example of leadership is Bhagwan himself. If we go through his life, every aspect of his life is an amazing saga of what a leader should be. In fact, his very wish as he took the avatar on earth was to ensure that all of us become like him. He kept on telling us that I've come to tell you that not only I am God, but you also are God. And therefore, Bhagwan has set the highest standards of leadership for all of us in society. Bhagwan is to always say that if there is righteousness in the heart, then there is beauty in character. If there is beauty in character, then there is harmony in the home. If there is harmony in the home, then there is order in the nation. And if there is order in the nation, then alone there is peace in the world. Bhagwan wanted that young men and women should become exemplary leaders. Leaders who inspire by self-practice, who inspire by self-transformation, who inspire by action. Bhagwan is to always point out that in today's world, what is required is exemplary examples of leadership, of men and women who are such strong of character that they would automatically inspire others to transform. He used to always say there is a lack of such examples in society. And therefore, the Sri Sathya Sai Seva Organization taking upon this very unique assignment of creating leaders is a very, very action which is in sync with Bhagwan's mandate. What we are doing in the Sathya Sai organization is nothing great. We just want to close our eyes and do what Bhagwan wished that we should do. We just want to achieve everything that Bhagwan expressed that we should achieve. And therefore, the Sri Sathya Sai leadership program is definitely not comparable with any other corporate programs of leadership that we know about. This is a very unique program. This is a program of mastering your own self. This is a program where the conscience becomes a leader for the mind. And this exercise of the conscience becoming leader of the mind, and on a constant basis, when this habit is formed, this personality, this leader which is carved out of the human being, this leader is a leader that Bhagavan wanted in society to inspire the whole society, brothers and sisters. It is extremely important that we ensure that we become exemplars as we finish this certificate course. To my mind, getting the certificate is of immense blessing of Bhagavan Shri Satya Sai Baba. But the real certificate to each one of my brothers and sisters who are candidates will come when society stands up and says, here is the leader of Bhagavan Shri Satya Sai Baba. It is the reflection of your personality in society, the mirror image of you in society. When that is recognized, that's the day when you would have really graduated in this leadership program. Bhagavan wanted all of us to be 100% in our character. Even 99 was a failure in terms of what Bhagavan used to say. And therefore, that's a very important benchmark that we need to keep. My sincere prayer to all my brothers and sisters is that this is not just one certificate course. This is a commitment to the divine master himself. This certificate is not being given by A, B, or C. It may be symbolized by the organization or by the university, but never ever forget that this certificate is by the divine master himself. And therefore, when you bear the certification of the Lord Almighty, the responsibility is immensely huge and large. Many of you have been associated with the Satsai organization. Quite a few may be alumni of the Bal Vikas also. But remember, now your time begins. And this is the moment when you are under the direct radar of Bhagavan Shri Satya Sai Baba. This radar is going to monitor your ability to put conscious over mind, your ability to stand forth and win the war of the Mahabharata when the conscience and the mind conflict, to understand that you have to commit yourself to be remembered as a reflection of divinity. This is a tall order, but that doesn't mean that life ends or life becomes extraordinary. Spirituality is integrated in day-to-day life. As Bhagavan in this clipping rightly mentioned, which was played by our Honorable Vice Chancellor, that I'm inside you, outside you, above you, all the time I'm with you. So wherever you go, whatever you do, your career, your family, your personal life, whatever you do, Bhagavan is there with you. And remember, the goal seems to be that as an individual, you need to be a leader. As a husband, you need to be a leader. As a wife, you need to be a leader. As an employer, you need to be a leader. As an employee, you need to be a leader. As a father, you need to be a leader. As a mother, you need to be a leader. Basically, now, the kind of leadership that Bhagavan has extolled that we should follow and become is going to be an integral part of life. That's integrity of character, that truthness, that truthfulness, that sincerity are all to be exhibited in day-to-day life. The purpose the Sri Satya Sai organization would conduct such a leadership course is only because today's world needs the message of Bhagavan Shri Satya Sai Baba. Today's world is yearning for the message of Bhagavan Shri Satya Sai Baba. And the best way to convey this message, brothers and sisters, is through live examples. Online leadership program, true, because we were forced to do it because of the COVID situation. Otherwise, it had to be a hardcore practice session. I'm extremely proud of the projects that were given by each one of you, which have been a part of the assessment that was done by the leaders and by the seniors in the organization and the university. I had an occasion to see quite a few of them done very well and very beautifully. But all these now have to come into action. I do hope that all of you young brothers and sisters are going to be very strong on personal sadhana, are going to be ensuring that you conquer yourself, you become your own leader, that you ensure that your thought, word, and deed, a very important message that Brother Sai Girdhar, the Honorable Registrar, mentioned to us in his talk, that sense of character, the unity of thought, word, and deed, where you stand apart, as grand as ever, reflecting the divinity of Bhagavan Shri Satya Sai Baba, and that kind of aura that builds around you is going to be a very important manifestation of what we really want to do, brothers and sisters. I am reminded of the story of the lioness, which I'm sure most of you have heard. But the story conveys a lot of inner significance. It is a story that in my life has been a part of my day-to-day life. Whenever I forget, whenever I am astray in my thought process, this story energizes me back, because this defines the kind of unique leadership that we have in our organization. The story of the lioness who gave birth to a lion cub in the midst of the sheep, and she passes away. And as the little lion cub gets up and opens his eyes for the first time in this beautiful world, all that he sees is sheep around himself. So he believes that he also is like the sheep. The sheep run, so he also runs along with the sheep. The sheep get tired and they eat grass. The lion cub believes that he also is to eat grass. And after the eating and the hunger is satisfied, the sheep start talking, bleating, mew, mew, mew. But the lion cub believes that he also has to mew. And in his bargain, he completely acquires the garb of the sheep. Till one day, another big lion comes and sees this great fascinating scheme that a young lion cub is behaving like a sheep. He rushes, brings the lion cub out of the flock of sheep, brings him to a river, puts his face on top of the river. So the first time the lion cub sees his face in the river. And then the big lion puts his face on the river. And the small lion sees that he looks like the big lion. Then the big lion roars. But the small lion tries to do that, but he cannot do it because he is habituated to bleat. Now, this is the underlying sentence that I wish Bhagavan has been constantly reminding us, and I wish that all of us remember. Whatever habits we form, we are going to bleat. And good habits of roaring are very important. So the big lion takes upon himself to teach the good habit of roaring. He roars once, he roars twice, 10, 15 times when he roars, and the little lion cub tries. For the first time, he realizes that he also can roar like the big lion. And therefore, for the first time, he realizes that he is not a sheep, he is a lion. Dear brothers and sisters, never forget that the biggest lion that came into our lives, it is your good fortune and my good fortune that we who are lost in this world of sheep, the big lion in the form of Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba came on this earth. He has picked each one of us independently. He has picked each one of us separately, taken us to Prashanthi Nilayam, the river of divinity that flowed there. He showed us our image, and he himself roared. Look at the leadership quality. Be, do, and tell. He entire life followed be, do, and tell. And when he roared along with us, he kept on prompting us to roar. And today we are able to roar in a little way, brothers and sisters. But remember, we need to roar like Swami himself. Step out on the streets from tomorrow morning. And as you go, wherever you go, let's be sure that we never forget that we are a reflection of that divine master. And our leadership skills lie in self-transformation. Our leadership skills lie in being very clear that conscience must win the mind. Our leadership lies in the skill that we have to become masterminds. Master the mind and become a mastermind is the call that Bhagavan has given to all of us, brothers and sisters. It is very, very important that we never forget this. I take this opportunity to thank your parents who have allowed you to be a part of this. I want you to be grateful to them, because one of the leadership qualities there is gratitude to parents. And society is looking for that kind of leadership of young men and women who are excellent in their professions, excellent in their personal character, excellent in their interaction with society, and still they are grateful to their parents in every little way that you and I can be. The Sri Satya Sai Seva organization, brothers and sisters, is strictly looking for such leaders. I hope and pray. It is my great aspiration as the All India President that all the 180 men and women who are now getting certificates from as a part of the valediction of this completion of this course will become integral parts of the Sri Satya Sai Seva organization. I remember recently in a planning session, we were discussing with the seniors in the organization, and we realized that the next 5 years, as we go forward towards the centenary celebrations, we need to ensure that in society there are such brilliant young men and women who become examples of Swami's message. then alone this can be possible. Not by lectures, not by books, not by articles, not by preaching, that society can absorb Swami's message. If society has to absorb Swami's message, brothers and sisters, it's going to be by sheer examples. And those examples are what we're looking for. Over the years, Bhagwan himself has worked so hard towards this. The entire Sri Satsai University, the Institute of Higher Learning, all the alumni who have passed on the portals of this university are a batch of that very unique young men and women who are becoming examples in society. The Sri Satya Sai Bal Vikas movement, the alumni who passed over the last 50 years are a part of this society. And you join this very elite band of young men and women today as a part of this whole transformational process. I tell you, in this COVID times and everybody is moving around with a mask, I do believe and I see a great positivity in that. That the Ram Raj that Bhagwan wanted us, believed and told us is going to be established is not far away. Because by wearing the mask, I believe that he's made all of us into Hanumans, of the kind that we are going to be pumping ourselves in the support of our dear Lord Rama, Sai Rama, and ensure that we become a part of this great movement of establishing Ram Raj. I have no doubts. I'm fully confident, and I'm sure each one of you is, that despite all the negativity that you see in the world outside today, what is most important, brothers and sisters, is that you are the beacons of positivity. You are the beacons of goodness. You are the beacons of something auspicious, and you are the beacons of that great love that Bhagwan spoke of. Keep Swami in your heart. Keep Swami with you all the time. Learn to experience him inside you. Work towards that and show the world the path of knowing that God is inside. With these few words, brothers and sisters, let me express great joy and happiness and congratulate each one of you for this great effort. And we have this great association. We have this great situation where we are going to work out a huge band of leaders from the leadership program. I pray to Bhagwan to bless us that we go through this program year on year with his blessings, with his grace, and many, many more young men and women are selected by Bhagwan himself so that they become his messengers in the world outside. I think this is a very, very important situation. Sadhana, brothers and sisters, is of extreme importance. I want to end with a story on sadhana which is very dear to my heart and which I'm sure all of you will appreciate. There was once this great king who ordered that all the people, the farmers, would bring their goats to the kingdom. But those goats, when they come to the palace, must not eat the grass which is offered by the king. And any goat that doesn't eat the grass that is offered by the king will get a prize. I can imagine the basic attitude of the goat is to ensure that the goat loves the grass and it's going to keep on eating grass. So the farmers thought that if we overfeed the goat with more and more grass, and when we keep an overfed goat in front of the king, he will not eat. But lo and behold, what happened was when all the goats came to the kingdom, the moment the grass was offered, all the goats started eating the grass, except for one goat. And that one goat was trained by a girl. And the king asked this goat, the girl, how did you train this goat not to eat the grass? And the girl explained to the king and said that, sir, I trained the goat over months. Whenever the goat used to try and eat the grass, I should take a stick and beat the mouth. With this kind of complete exercise at all the time, every time the goat tried to eat grass, the stick would be on his mouth. And therefore, now when I bring him, the goat, to your kingdom, O Lord, and you offer the grass to him, the goat remembers the stick and doesn't eat the grass. Personal sadhana is of this nature, brothers and sisters. This is something that Bhagwan himself has guided us, that sadhana needs strength. And therefore, be very strong in your character. Be strong in your resolve. Do not give up. Never, ever give up on what this course has taught you and what it expects to be. With these few words, congratulations and Jai Sai Ram. Thank you very much.
Yep. Okay. I'm going live and wait. Sai Ram, sir. Om Shri Sai Ram, sir. Thank you very much for the words of wisdom. You've literally reignited the fire that we have in our hearts. So we will definitely promise to give our 100% commitment and we will take this time and the opportunities that the Swami has provided. We will stand apart and become reflections of Satya Sai Baba. And we will put our hands on the heart and say that we will lead our lives through personal sadhana, as you have said, and we will undergo self-transformation. Sir, as you have mentioned, we will train ourselves to ensure that we do not fall into the wrong ways, and we will ensure that we are going to be exemplars that represent Swami. Thank you very much for your wise words, sir. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram. I am Rikshit Pradhan from the state of West Bengal, a participant of this program. We now have Dr. Gopi Pidatala, our convener, Sri Satya Sai National Leadership Program for Self-Transformation, coming up with a short report on this certificate program. Dr. Gopi needs no introductions in the Sri Satya Sai circles. Dr. Gopi, lovingly called by everyone as Gopi Bhai, works for the All India President's Office as a national team member looking after projects and programs. He is also the convener of Vidya Vihar High School, Hyderabad. He is a panel speaker of the Hindu Business Line, a corporate trainer on business communications, and multiple hats as a CEO of a health firm in Hyderabad. He has been a dedicated Sai soldier of love and seva for over 4 decades under the divine guidance of Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba. I now take this honor of calling forth Dr. Gopi Pidatala to present his report. Jai Sai Ram.
Offering my most loving salutations at the divine lotus feet of our most benevolent Bhagwan, distinguished leaders of the Sri Satya Sai Central Trust, leaders of the Associated Institutes of Sri Satya Sai Central Trust, leaders of the Sri Satya Sai Seva organizations across India, faculty members of this program, parents and my dear participants of this program. Sai Ram to one and all. It's been a great journey, not only for the participants of this program, but also for each one of us. When I say associated, the members of the Sri Satya Sai Seva organizations, the faculty members of the Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, the members of the affiliated institutions of the Sri Satya Sai Central Trust, the Satya Sai Center for Human Values, and the Sri Satya Sai Official. This initiative is the result of a consolidated effort of Sri Nimish Pandya, the chairman of the academic board of this program and his team, the vice chancellor and his team of Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, and the valuable advice of our members of the Sri Satya Sai Central Trust, in particular Sri Chakravarti Garu and Sri R.J. Ratnakar Garu. It took us more than 2 years to come to an understanding as to what should be the contents of this program. And finally, with the divine blessings of Bhagwan, Sri Satya Sai National Leadership Program for Self-Transformation was initiated on 13th March 2020 at the Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Prashant Nilayam, as a 9-month certificate program, one of its kind in the entire country.
Gopi sir has joined. Mr. Pai, welcome.
26 weeks long program with around 182 participants covering the 25 states of India, includes 115 men.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for joining.
67
Good afternoon. How are you, man?
Of the age group of 20
Gopi,
and 35. The course began with a 3-day contact program in the campus of Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, and then moved on to an online program on Microsoft Teams platform. I should mention that Microsoft India provided free of charges to the Satya Sai Seva Organization India a license with 1 million users. The objectives of this program was very, very clear. It was basically to empower our own youth, about 80% of them from within the organization and 20% participants from outside our Sri Satya Sai Seva organizations. The skills that the participants were trained on were the basic skills needed for one's life and career.
Thank you.
The path was to better the best in each participant. The course curriculum focused on individual character, national character, and self-mastery. To mention a few sessions, we took classes on communication skills, individual goal setting, change management, nation building, strategies for life on the topics of beauty, devotion and discrimination, how to manage relationship, how to face stress, understanding our own Indian culture and ethos, and the much needed values of life, Satya, Dharma, Shanti, Prema and Ahimsa. In the inaugural program, we were blessed to have the august presence of our Honorable Chancellor, Sri Chakravarti Garu, IAS retired, who expresses happiness on this initiative and advised the participants to dwell deeper on the subjects that are being taught. He also advised them to follow the culture of this great nation and the values of this great country. Sri R.J. Ratnakar Garu, the Managing Trustee of the Sri Satya Sai Central Trust, in his address, stressed on the importance of group skills in one's life and beautifully explained the concepts, citing examples from the epics of Ramayana and Bhagavad Gita. Dr. C.B. Sanjeevi, the Honorable Vice Chancellor, said that leadership from the perspective of Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai included immeasurable devotional component which is priceless, and said that if one leads with the undercurrents of devotion and human values, anything in this world is achievable. Sri Nimish Pandya, the All India President of the Sri Satya Sai Seva Organization, stated that this program is a flagship program of the organization to help youth ponder over about the important aspects of life. He said that this program was constructed in a very unique manner, which would help each participant to self-evaluate and help tread the path of self-transformation. Professor Sai Giridhar, the Registrar of the Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, in his introduction and welcome note, stressed on the Sri Satya Sai Baba example of leadership to humanity, which encompasses everything the participants will come to learn from various experts during the course of this program, which eventually happened in this program. After the contact program, when the entire world was in a traumatic state of mind due to the pandemic COVID-19, which saw no barriers and boundaries, here was a group of 182 students happily engrossed in learning new sets of skills, deep diving into self, trying to master the mind and be a mastermind. Besides this, listed courses of the program, a deep study on how to meditate was also taken up for over 2 weeks in line with the directions of Bhagwan himself, which is available in a book format called Dhyana Vahini. More than 15 faculty members who are well-known trainers and coaches across India from within the organization and outside the organization tutored in this program, which consisted 26 different topics. I would be failing in my duty if I don't mention the names. They start with Dr. V. Mohan, the eminent diabetologist, Dr. Giri Shankar, an eminent trainer, Sri Kota Shiv Kumar, another trainer, Dr. Sai Prasad Gollapudi, Sri Krishna Kumar, Sri LMV Kishore, then we had Sri Sai Kumar, Sri Prashant Durgam, Sri Vikas Bagri, Srimati Gitanjali Singh, Ms. Rama Sampath, Sri Sai Gunaranjan Puranam, Sri Karthik Ramesh, and Sri Pramod Palu. Our faculty for the contact program were Dr. Amit Sood, Dr. Sanjay Mahalingam, Dr. Amay Deshpande, Sri Arvind Balasubramaniam, Sri Prem Anush, and Sri Harishankar Bhatt. Besides this, about 15 eminent leaders of the nation, to mention a few of them, Ms. Charu Sinha, IPS, the IG of CRPF Srinagar, Sri R.S. Praveen Kumar, Additional DGP Telangana, Srimati Madhuri Duggirala, Senior Director, Google India, Dr. Ramesh Chandra, IFS, Additional Secretary, Ministry of External Affairs, Srimati Vasundhara Sinha, IRS of the Principal Commissioner of Income Tax, Professor Anil Kumar, Professor Bhagya, Professor Sanjay Sani of the Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Professor Sudhir Bhaskar from the Sri Satya Sai Center of Human Values, Prashant Lilium, and our own All India President Sri Nimish Pandya and Srimati Kamala Pandya, National Mahila Coordinator, spoke to these participants in a satsang format, sharing their life experiences and leadership. The journey of 90 days, 90 hours of learning has been enriching and satisfactory. The feedback of the candidates is a testimony to this. We have had in every class close to 100% attendance. Each class was slotted for 90 minutes, but did extend to more time because of the Q&A sessions wherein the participants sought more insights on the topics from the speakers. This speaks itself for the enthusiasm. As a part of the program, the participants were also asked to do a project study on different initiatives being taken up by the Sri Satya Sai Seva organizations in India. Groups were formed, an expert committee was constituted with national coordinators and senior faculty members of the Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning. 53 projects were listed out and a 3-month study parallel to the online classes were held. The project reports under the guidance of the state presidents and the state youth coordinators have been submitted and are under evaluation right now. The reports will be published soon in a document to the All India President, Sri Satya Sai Seva Organization, and also to the Registrar of the Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning. Finally, I wish to state that not only did the participant benefit from this program, but we too from the organizing committee and the faculty benefited in a great deal. We really do not know whether each one of the participants will someday or other become a leader in his or her stream, but we are sure that this course has added value in their lives and set in some change within them and is helping each one of them to transform, which is the motto of the Sri Satya Sai Seva organizations. I thank you very much for your patience in listening to this report. Jai Sai Ram.
Sai Ram. I am Nishtha Joshi from Madhya Pradesh and I am a participant of the National Leadership Program for the batch of 2020. What a wonderful journey it has been for the last 9 months of rediscovering ourselves for self-transformation. I now take the privilege of introducing a fellow participant, Sister Swati Vasudevan, to share her thoughts on the journey of this program on behalf of all of us. Sister Swati Vasudevan is an MBA graduate in HR and has worked with Tata Capital in India. She has then gone on to work at a leading corporation in Canada and has now relocated back to India. She is an active member of Sri Satya Sai Seva Organization, Chennai, Tamil Nadu. With this, I welcome Sister Swati Vasudevan.
साई माता पिता दीना बंधु सखा तेरे चरणों में साई मेरा कोटि प्रणाम. Offering my loving pranams at the divine lotus feet of my mother Sai. Esteemed elders, dear brothers and sisters, loving Sai Ram to all of you. Thank you for this opportunity. I would like to address this talk on my continuing self-transformation journey to Swami through his glorious names. Sharanagata Poshana. Every day has been packed with action since January 2020, hasn't it? Not a day without you, your voice, your message, your patience. Yet I was missing something. To be able to experience the oneness. Yes, that was it. How did it even unfold? Hours to days, weeks and months made it all happen. One step closer and many miles dearer. Laps and leaps over. Across oceans and skylines. Through the contents of this Sri Satya Sai National Leadership Program and through your instruments as convener, coordinators, course instructors, project guides and fellow participants. You, Swami, have made me realize our connection. Socially distant but soulfully near. Sai Ishwara, you introduced me to brothers and sisters who I never knew were missing in my life prior to this program. Sparks of you, we connect and we continue to sing your glory in a unified voice and with full-throated energy. Sisterhood that strengthens the values. You blessed us with such a life-reforming opportunity, this time with no subtle signs. You handed it to us on a platter, the most direct way of your response to our deepest yearning. Nityanandamayi, who knew a day would come like this? We were one of those very few lucky ones to have your Sannidhi Darshan just before the lockdown, before all this new normal could even begin. And when I saw the curtain drawing to a close to your Sannidhi, I felt my own inner veil of Maya steering clear, almost as if a dark cloud was pushed, exposing so much hope and love. Quite the unlikely feeling given the changes. Jnana Murtaye, through the phenomenal faculty and guest speakers of this program, drawing deeply from your messages, we were effortlessly made to understand that thoughts are like waves in the ocean. The sessions coupled with satsangs were like surfboards to ride the waves upon skillfully, offering us insights to begin to master the truth that our names are just a sound we respond to and not our identities ourselves. passionately guiding us to the knowledge that self-regulation is greater than success, and profoundly connecting us to the Bharatiya Samskriti that you always ensure. We value our culture and celebrate the richness of this holy land. Tat Purusha. We've come a long way from March 2020. Not just another prayer that you checked off of our lists of being your students, but you've given us a blueprint for our lives. These 9 months were just a playing field. It didn't matter how many times we fell down, we had the support to get back up. We were encouraged to make mistakes, to carry only the experiences forward and cherish the memories. Our state teams literally hand holding us to successfully deliver our projects. We got to live all this here. I am so excited and thrilled that we all met at this point in our lives. From this point thereafter, it is only onwards and upwards with a lot more purpose. The valuable contribution to our society is for us to be centered, spirited yet calm, assertive yet compassionate, accepting yet determined. The Sri Satya Sai National Leadership Program has reiterated to us to work for Swami, and we are the solutions ourselves. Congratulations to all of us. We are here, we are now, we are the present and the future, embodying Swami's life, which is his message. We thank you, Swami. May all the beings in all the worlds be happy. Jai Sai Ram.
9 months, 90 hours of classes, a long journey with the most beneficial outcome to each one of us. Distinguished faculties, revered elders in the organization, eminent leaders, parents, and fellow participants. All of you have contributed in this journey to build us and shape us better to serve the nation. I am Shubham Chauhan from Rajasthan, a candidate of this batch of 2020. I now have the privilege of introducing Brother Arun Ilani from Gorakhpur, Uttar Pradesh. Brother Arun completed his engineering in electronics and communication from the GLA University in 2018 and is currently working as a data analyst at Epsilon in Bengaluru. I now request Brother Arun to share his thoughts on what he has learned in this program and his takeaways to be a better individual. Brother Arun for us, Jai Sai Ram.
Om Shri Sai Ram. Humble salutations at the lotus feet of my beloved Bhagwan and loving Sai Ram to all. No words can be enough to express my gratitude towards any activity that is being taken up by Avatar himself. I feel the program to which we were introduced perfectly illustrates the line idealism in action. Starting from those 3 days of induction at Parthi, getting to know our national team, my fellow participants, and every other person associated with it. It was the time when the world saw its first lockdown during March, and this entire year was called as ill-fated due to presence of global pandemic. During that time, sessions on Dhyana Vahini truly emerged out as the rays of light and hope in complete darkness. This entire course is designed in such a format that it covers the overall personality as well as character development in various aspects of an individual. If I talk about some sessions, then our journey commenced with a talk on goal setting, in which we were taught how to set our goals and then achieve them in an entirely structured format. Again, the beautiful talk on Sailing on Desires taught us how to float on the ocean of desires without sinking into it. It was the session on self-awareness that actually connected us to our inner self and motivated us for self-regulation. Not only the sessions were best, but even the satsangs that was organized were full of divinity. In this entire beautiful journey, we were introduced with various beautiful thoughts. And some of the thoughts were so appealing that they connected to our heart and changed our entire mindset of looking at this world. In one of such sessions, Ms. Charu Sinha, IPS Inspector General, CRPF of Jammu sector, she was asked that, being with the Swami's teaching of love all and serve all, how is she able to deal with the people who are not good with the society? She simply answered to this question that, hate the deed and not the doer, and you will not be able to hate anyone in this world. Wow! Such a beautiful way of leading the life. And list of such instances goes on and on and on. These dots, when connected together, laid the foundation of a very strong building, self transformation. I feel really obliged and delighted in being the part of this wonderful journey. I also want to congratulate all the brothers and sisters of this program who were the part of it. Thanks a lot, Saima, for selecting me. May you shower your love and blessings on each one of us. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Jai Sai Ram.
I am Yudin Lamubujia from the state of Sikkim. Now, I request our All India President to kindly administer the pledge to the participants. I request all the participants to kindly repeat the pledge from wherever you are. This is being done online, so kindly bear with the disturbances in the sound quality. Jai Sai Ram.
Om Shri Sai Ram. May I now request the candidates to repeat the pledge after me. I hereby solemnly declare and promise that
I hereby solemnly declare and promise that
admitted to the certificate program for which I have been duly recommended,
if admitted to the certificate program for which I have been duly recommended,
I will in my daily life and conversation and in thought, word and deed conduct myself as a member of the Sri Satya Sai Seva organization.
conduct myself as a member of the Sri Satya Sai Seva organization.
That I will to the utmost of my capacity and opportunity
That I will to the utmost of my capacity and opportunity
support the cause of sound learning, humanity, morality, and spirituality.
support the cause of sound learning, humanity, morality, and spirituality.
And that as far as it lies in me, shall uphold and advance
I shall uphold and advance
indeed all-round welfare of my countrymen and fellow men.
the social and indeed all-round welfare of my countrymen and fellow men.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Om Sri Sai Ram. With pranams at Bhagwan's divine lotus feet, it is indeed a great privilege for me to introduce Sri T.V. Mohandas Pai, who is going to deliver the convocation address for the first edition of the Sri Satya Sai National Leadership Program. Over a career spanning 37 years, Sri Mohandas Pai has gained global recognition and respect for the pioneering work he has done in the area of information technology, corporate finance, governance, and philanthropy. He now advises thousands of youngsters who are part of the startup ecosystem in India. Sri Mohandas Pai was Chief Financial Officer of Infosys Technologies Limited during the formative years and has played a great role in making the company realize its global aspirations. For the work he has done, Sri Pai has been recognized by the award of the Padma Shri by the Government of India, the Karnataka Rajyotsava Award in the year 2008, and continues to be a very, very popular speaker because he questions the status quo and is able to inspire thousands of youngsters across the world. I am sure that just like me, many of you who are today here in the audience will be motivated and inspired as you listen to his experiences and benefit from his ability to create a dream which all of us can work to achieve. I now welcome Sri Mohandas Pai and request him to deliver the convocation address. Thank you and Jai Sai Ram.
So we request you to go live, sir. Sri Mohandas Pai Garu.
Thank you very much. Folks, I'm very happy to be here to deliver this address. And I'm very happy that the Satya Sai organization is holding this leadership training programs for young people. The growth of a country and the growth of society depend upon leadership and the kind of leaders that we have. We have seen in India that the largest ever movement in human history for freedom led to the rise of a new generation of leaders who sacrificed everything for a larger cause. And their action gave freedom to 60% of humanity who were colonized. And in response to the call by our freedom fighters and leaders, many ordinary people stepped forward to show indomitable courage to change society. It's very important for us to understand the nature of this freedom movement in this country because we are the inheritors of this great legacy. We also should study the leadership provided by our great leaders across history in India. Very many of them were ordinary people who came up during a crisis. Now, leadership can be in many ways. How are leaders born and how are leaders made? Now, if we understand the nature of leadership, we understand that leadership comes up, or people become leaders due to various events. Any social movement throws up leaders because the social movement attracts many people, and when people step forward and communicate and act in an unselfish manner, people tend to follow them. So social movements, agitations, and other moments of crisis produce leaders. Second, social organization produce leaders by training them, by having a cadre of people who can grow up to be leaders. We've seen that in political parties, we see that in social organizations, including the Satya Sai organization all across India. Leaders also come up possibly by inheritance in a country like India. We've seen so many children of leaders become leaders themselves because they step into the shoes of their parents and become leaders. And other events too happen because there are natural leaders who also come up. There are people who become natural leaders. Why is that? Because they have great energy, they have passion, and they come up and they take up a cause and develop leadership qualities for a period of time. So in many ways, people can become leaders. Can people be trained to be leaders? I'm not sure. I'm speaking because we ran a very large leadership program in Infosys for many years. And our idea was very simple. We believe that leadership training is essential to people for many reasons. One, they must have mentors who can talk to them and train them, who can answer the dilemmas that they face in their lives, so that their doubts are cleared and they can be expected to grow from the advice and counsel of mentors who have been leaders before. Second, they must study the environment and organizations where they work and make sure that they understand what they're doing so that it helps them in the leadership journey. And third, very importantly, they must demonstrate leadership in the field of activity where they have a choice. And this demonstration can be by taking up projects, by doing something which is uncommon, or doing something out of the ordinary. So leadership training is a good ground for people to understand the nature of leadership, to accelerate the process of leadership. But not all people who go through leadership programs actually become leaders. Because for people to become true leaders, there are many, many attributes. Let me explain these attributes, which are essential for all of us to be leaders, from the life of Mahatma Gandhi. Because Gandhi was one of the greatest leaders ever born in human history. And Gandhi's life, as explained by him in his book, My Experiments with Truth, puts out the dilemmas that he faced, how he grew up to be a leader. He was not a born leader. He was an ordinary person, born to some kind of privilege, who went to England to become a lawyer, a barrister. But during the course of his life, when he went to South Africa, he was deeply troubled by what he saw in South Africa, the discrimination against Indians. And he felt the discrimination, but never possibly felt it personally till he went on this famous train journey, where despite having a first-class ticket, he was thrown out because he was not a white. And he stayed outside in the cold for the full night. And then he understood the level of discrimination faced by ordinary people in South Africa. And that reinforced his determination to fight for equality and for rights for all. And from then, his journey takes off till his demise in 1948. So I think it's important for us to understand from his life what the other attributes that one must have. The most important attribute one must have is courage. The courage to stand up to tyranny. The courage to stand up against wrong. The courage to plow a lonely furrow. And the courage to go forward in the face of adversity. And the courage to take up a cause, a right cause, not a wrong cause. And the courage to be non-violent. And the courage to communicate and stand up and be identified. So leaders require courage, enormous amount of courage to break the mold. And I think that's very important. And I hope all of you have developed much more of this in your course. The second important attribute is leadership by example. A leader is always ahead. A person is a leader who has followers. You can't be a leader without followers. And why will people follow you? People will follow you because they see in you somebody who can be ahead of them and show them the true path. So you have to lead by example in every facet of your work. Whatever you say and do, you must do it first. That's why Gandhiji always led agitations first. You were the first to go on the Dandi Salt March. You were the first to go. You were the first to go everywhere. And he was always ahead. And because he lived his dream, he lived a simple life. He wore the dhoti and held a stick to be like an ordinary Indian. He was not a poor man, but he lived like an ordinary Indian to identify with everybody else. He communicated with them. He lived in their houses. He ate very little. There's not much spent on him, even though Sarojini Naidu said it's expensive to maintain Gandhi. So I think you must lead by example in whatever you do. Whatever you talk, you must do it. If you talk about ethical conduct, your life should be one ethical conduct. If you talk about standing up and communicating, standing up for the truth, your life should be about standing up for the truth. If you talk about treating people well, you should treat people well. If you talk about giving respect to others, you should give respect to others. So what you do and everything you do as a leader will be looked at by others who are your followers, and you have to lead by example, because if you are hypocritical, you talk about great things, you talk about good behavior, you talk about unselfishness, you talk about sacrifice, and you talk about good conduct, but you do not do all that, people will not trust you, people will not believe you. So you need trust. Your life should be one of trust, and you should lead by example. And the next important thing is you must have a clear vision of what you want to achieve as a leader. What are you trying to do as a leader? What are you trying to change? What are you trying to create? And all this should be clear in your mind. So you must have a vision. You must have an ability to think through issues. So you can think of solutions. You can't think of violence. You can't think of destruction. You can't think of hurting others, because that's very easy. It's an instinct in every human being to be in a state of power, to have power over others through violence. That is the way nature is. But you should have a clear vision how to achieve what you want to achieve in a peaceful, democratic, non-violent way. So you must have a vision of what you want to do and how you want to achieve that vision. And you must have clarity of mind. And to develop clarity of mind, you must overcome many moral, ethical dilemmas that you face, the challenge that you face in coming out of the clear path. And Gandhi was very clear. He will lead his people to freedom through non-violence. Because he said, if you have a violent movement against the biggest empire in the world, the most powerful empire in the world, they can crush you using violence. But if you stand before tyranny, you stand before oppression with nothing but your moral courage, nothing but standing up to them. They can beat you. They can do many things. But if you don't raise your hand, there's nothing they can do. So in the freedom movement, we thought thousands of people march for freedom. And many of them were shot dead. Many of them were hit with lathis and killed. But they did not raise their arm. They did not raise their hand against the police. And when they did in Chauri Chaura, in the Quit India movement, Gandhi called off the campaign. Why did he call off the campaign? He said, if people have hatred and violence in their heart, they're not ready for freedom. Because after getting freedom, will you behave in the same manner? Will you be violent? Will you oppress others? Because you fight against an oppressor using violence, that violence remains in you. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth will make the world blind and toothless. That's what he said. And that's why he led the greatest non-violent movement to give the moral force to people, to put moral force, the moral courage in people who have been suppressed for generations by colonial exploitation and feudalism in this country, by great impoverishment of the richest country in the world by colonial powers and overseas invaders for 1,000 years. So you have to give them moral courage, because all individuals require moral courage. Moral courage to be equal to others, to stand up for everybody, to stand up for the betterment of society. So he made sure that his vision was very clear about leading a non-violent movement all across India. And then he also made sure that he developed a strategy. The vision was very clear, but he needed a strategy to execute. And the strategy was to have programs whereby he could show the colonial powers that we will protest and there's nothing you can do till you find it ungovernable, because you are ruling over us and we are not free people. So the strategy was very clear: to travel on the Dandi march, to make salt by the sea, to break the law which was unjust, which said that you must pay royalty to the government if you make salt, because salt was a monopoly and salt is essential for human life and cannot be a monopoly. And he went and broke the law non-violently, peacefully, and he was jailed. And when he went to jail, he told the judge, give me the harshest sentence possible, to demonstrate his ability. No mercy, because you are fighting an unjust power. So he had a very clear strategy how to execute and how to do well. And you must, as a leader, you must know when to stop things, when to carry on. Because if you start a movement, if you start something, it may not succeed. It may go in different directions, because you're dealing with human beings, and human beings are very emotional. And he knew that very well. Like I said, in Chauri Chaura, when the police station was burnt and people were killed, he called off the agitation because he said, you're not ready. He called off at the peak of the agitation. And it was a big blow to everybody, because everybody was worked up, everybody is organized, but he called it off. It's a very important lesson for all of us. You must know when to go ahead, when to stop. You must have the judgment to do many things. And then a leader is one who develops other leaders under him. Most leaders self-destruct because they get taken up by their own notions of leadership. They believe in themselves. They believe they're the greatest people alive, to whom everybody should come and pay obeisance. But that is not true. If you're a leader, you must produce a lot of leaders. And Gandhiji produced a lot of leaders under him. Ordinary people became leaders. So he created a mass movement, because a lot of people created leaders. If you're in corporate life, if you're in social life, you must develop leaders under you who will take the cause forward and make it work, like your organization is doing. Because if you develop a lot of leaders to carry the message of Satya Sai, you will have created a movement which will impact the lives of so many people positively. So you need to create leaders. But if you destroy leadership, don't allow people to come up, and you don't create an open, collegial atmosphere where people can question you, people can challenge you, and you can Make sure you are a leader by sheer moral courage, your sheer security in your heart that you are capable of doing many things, and you're not overwhelmed or insecure because somebody else is taking leadership. You would have succeeded in creating leaders. Because the leader's legacy is that he's created a lot of leaders. And they look at India, Gandhiji is the one who created so many leaders. Jawaharlal Nehru did not create leaders. He put his own daughter as head of the Congress party. You know what happened? The family still rules because he destroyed other leaders, did not allow them to come up, and he was very undemocratic in the end. And he did that. I'm giving this two examples so that all of you understand that being a leader is not easy. You must allow other people to come up. There must be succession. You must have others to have their life in the sun. They must have the day in the sun. Everybody has aspirations. Their aspirations and your aspiration and whatever you do in leadership should be aligned. And the alignment comes when people are secure. People have their own space to work. They have the freedom within whatever constraints are there. They're not overwhelmed. Because if you overwhelm, if you don't allow people to grow, do not give them space to grow as a leader because you're very insecure, you will not develop leadership and you will not grow. You can only grow to the next level when somebody comes in and takes up the job that you're doing. And that can only happen even in corporate life. If you want to get promoted, go up. You must create leaders under you who can step into your shoes. And when the time comes for a promotion, nobody asks who will do a job. Because there are a lot of people to do a job. And if they step in and do a job, you should be happy. And you should be secure that somebody else is doing the job you're doing. You can do better things. And for a leader, if you're stuck in the same job for too long, it's not good for you too. Because you need to refresh yourself. You need to challenge yourself. I think it's very important for a leader to create more leaders. And that means you must be secure in your outlook. You must have great qualities of heart and mind. And you must allow for open debate, dissent, communication, etc. It's very, very important. Next, you must be a good communicator. Articulate about what you're thinking, your ideas. And you must have the ability to talk to others, enthuse others, and convey to them what you're saying. If you mumble, if you're not very clear, you can't be a leader. Because the leader has to communicate. We understand the message, but the communication given by leaders. That's why great religious figures have discourses. They communicate. They explain their idea. It's the idea that wins in the end. People are personification of the idea. So great people have great ideas. And this idea that lives on after they're gone, the idea that Sri Sathya Sai elucidated lives on because these are universal ideas, even though sadly is no longer with us. So you must make sure that you are able to communicate well to others and people understand and they're very clear. And the message must be communicated in a simple language. If you wake up your followers at midnight and ask them what is the message, they should be able to tell you very clearly. Because if you mumble, if you make it very complex and have too much of jargon, people will not understand what it is. So you must be able to clearly tell them what the idea is, what the message is, what are you trying to do. So communication is very important. And only by communicating can you make sure that the idea lives on. It's like the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita was communicated by Sri Krishna to Arjuna, but it lives on, the message lives on because the message is being communicated by a lot of people. Now it's in written form, but it's been communicated by a lot of people and the message is so very clear, so very understandable, so very relatable to our lives and the dilemmas that we face. And after your ability to communicate, you must have flexibility. You must not be rigid because things change, everything changes. Eternal values do not change. The values of integrity, the values of honesty, the values of compassion, the values of openness, of transparency, these don't change. But many strategies, many other paths can change. And these paths should be explained. We live in a civilization which is free of dogma. There is no dogma in our Sanatana Dharma and in Indian civilization. Each of us can choose the path that we can go on because we all believe at the end of it, all paths lead to one place. And you can choose your path. And to go on the path, you have a guru who leads you to the path because the guru has trod the path before and has gone there and understands and can explain to you. So it makes a journey easier. So it's very important that there'll be flexibility. Flexibility not in compromise of core values, but flexibility in ideas. Core ideas remain, like I said before. but flexibility in the path, flexibility in the way you do it, flexibility in consonance with individual aspirations and need, all of the time with core values, non-violence, compassion, truth, honesty being there at all the time. Because if you're rigid and you lay down a dogma like the Communist Party does, where you have to believe in a totalitarian state, where I have to believe in that ideology, and you can't deviate. If you deviate, you're thrown out. It's not going to work. Because all human beings are logical creatures. They want freedom. They want space. They want understanding. They want to question. And ours is a questioning civilization. We don't believe in one single dogma everywhere. We question everything. We want to understand. We want to reason. Because reason and understanding expands human knowledge. And the continuing thing that happens and impacts everybody. So you must be flexible. And then lastly, you must know when your time is up and you must walk into the sunset all alone. I know it's very difficult. If you are a leader, when do you step down? When do you hand over leadership and go? It's a very poignant thing. You can't be a leader all your life. Because the cause is greater than you, the idea is greater than you. That's why in a democracy, there are elections every 5 years. You can't have totalitarian rule. You can't have one-party rule. People are not going to accept that. So as a leader, you must know when your time is up and go away. Like Sunil Gavaskar told us, go when people ask why, not why not. Sachin Tendulkar didn't go in time. Kapil Dev didn't go in time. People are asking why they're not going. Rahul Dravid went when he found he could not carry on in time. Sunil Gavaskar said it best because he said, go when people ask why. As a leader, you must step down, hand over and go. That's why in Sanatana Dharma, in our culture, we had different facets of life. As a balika, as a young man, as a grahastha, and then later you hand over everything and you go to the forest to contemplate and live out your life. Why is that? Because our forefathers believed that there is a time for everything. Human life is limited. Human life is not unlimited. When you're born, the only reality in life is you're going to die a day. That's the only reality in life. Everything else changes. The end of a journey is certain. It's going to happen one day or the other. That is very certain. Everything in between birth and the time for it to go is uncertain. So the leader, you must decide when you want to go, hand over and go into the sunset and not look back, not try to interfere in what you're left behind. Because leadership beyond a point also becomes like a prison. You are stuck in it. Your whole life is that. But is life all about your cause? Is life all about what you set out to do? Is life all about an idea? Life is also about an experience. What is the most beautiful thing about life? Is that experience that you have, meeting people, growing up, visiting places, listening to great people, listening to great ideas, doing many things, the entire experience of life as a young child, as a student, as a grahastha, a married person, as a person who cares for the family, as a person who is a leader, as an elder of society, and as a person who contemplates the purpose of life, what you want to do with your life, and how you should live out your life. These are important matters for you because one day or the other, you're going to ask yourself individually, what have you done in your life? What have you achieved in your life? You achieved great money, power, everything else. But everything is in passing. Everything goes away. Everything goes away. Look at the statues of great emperors of the past. The crows sit on it, right? And people do things to the statue. What happened to them? They're the most powerful people. They're all gone. Everything goes away. The sun rises in the morning and sets in the evening. So all of us must know our limitations. A leader knows his or her limitations. And the leader knows when the limitations end, you have to go. And you must go living whatever you do in good shape. If you're running a company, the company should be in good shape, should have a good leadership. You're running a social organization, is in good shape. You have a set of leaders who can carry on for the next 15, 20 years. And a good culture that outlives everybody. If you're a political leader, you leave behind a political institution that can carry on. If you're a chief minister or a minister, you leave behind your department which can continue because they have got good things to do. Whatever you do as a leader, you must leave behind because that's going to be a legacy. The legacy will live on. The institutions will live on. We are all mortal. So you must know when to go and when to take care of yourself. We are all mortals. We are all creatures of flesh and blood, and we age, and we have needs as we age. So you must make sure that you look after yourself too, and you have purpose in your life. So these are all the attributes of leadership. And leadership is a journey. Leadership is a journey for all of us. We go on the path of leadership. We take up the mantle of responsibility, and we do very many things. But at the end of the day, we must leave the world a better place than we gave. Every generation should make the world a better place for the PDs that come after them, for the young people that come after them. And you must look after the whole of society. You must look after the whole of this planet, because all of us have only this planet. There's nothing else after this planet. There is no hell, there is no heaven beyond this. Hell is here, heaven is here, everything is here. Yes, we all believe in moksha. We all believe that if we do evil, we'll suffer in future life. But we don't know whether that exists at all. It's an idea. And the idea is to make you good people, to follow the path of dharma, which is very important, because dharma alone will ensure a good society. Dharma alone will create justice. Dharma alone will allow everybody to stay together. Dharma alone will perpetuate society. Adharma will destroy society, destroy everything. So we must follow the path of dharma. And the path of dharma is very, very clear. You should make the world a better place than you are. And when you make the world a better place, you must take care of all creatures on this planet. It cannot be only you and your family are better off. It cannot be only you and your team are better off. You and your company are better off. You and your social organization are better off. It must be for everybody. Every creature that lives on this planet. You can't destroy this planet. You can't destroy the forest. You can't kill animals unless you want food, which is okay. But you must let everybody live. Everybody have an opportunity to live. You can't destroy things, because this planet was given to you by your forefathers in good condition. And you must leave it to your children and grandchildren in better condition. That is what your legacy should be. And that is the purpose of leadership, to make society a better place, to make the world a better place, to make sure that people get justice, people get opportunity, people get all the necessities of life, to make sure all creatures on this planet prosper and live out, and nothing is destroyed. You can take from nature what you want for your survival. Nature allows that, but not what you want for a gratification. Like Gandhiji said, society has enough for everybody's need, not everybody's greed. So sustainability, climate change, are the impact of greed. We must reduce our consumption to whatever manner. We must distribute equitably so everybody has the necessities of life. And we must make sure the society is peaceful. Because as you grow older, when you look back on the leadership journey, you must make sure and have the satisfaction. During my time on this planet, I made the world better. My parents gave me a world which is good. I worked very hard to add to it, and I made it much, much better. My children, if you have children, and if you don't have children, my followers, and if you don't have followers, people in society are much better off today than they were when I was born and I grew up. So I want to end here by congratulating Satya Sai organization for having the leadership program. We must train leaders. India is a very large country, extremely complex, extremely diverse. It requires more and more leaders to make society better, to make living better for everybody, and to have the path of dharma all across this world, all across India, all across this planet, and to show everybody the right path. Because all the great rishis, all the great beings who come on this planet always try to show the path. And remember one last thing. At the end of the day, you come alone into the world and go alone into the world. So ego, power, everything else is transitionary. There is mortality. So don't get carried away by power. Don't get carried away that you are the solution to the world's ills. Don't get carried away by illusions of grandeur. Don't get carried away by so many things. And remember always, the sun is going to rise in the morning and the sun will set in the evening. Whatever happens, it will happen again and again and again and again. So never get the ego to dominate all of you. And happiness is in finding contentment. Happiness is in understanding limitations. Happiness is in finding equanimity in your mind, the peace of mind. Happiness is understanding the meaning of life. Happiness is listening to great sages, great leaders, and understanding the values and living out those values. And happiness is in experiencing this great life and the great journey that all of us go through. Like you, I also was very different when I was young. I also had great energy, passion. I did many things in my career, in my company. Even now, I'm doing great things. But 2-3 years ago, I went through a big change. I suddenly realized I can't change the world. I always believed my whole life I can change the world, do many things, etc. I did so many things to change the world. I have the energy and the passion to say I can't change the world. So 2-3 years ago, I understood my limitation. I can't change all the world. I will do what I can and find happiness. Because if you believe you change all the world, and you can change the world, and you should have the energy to believe that, sometimes it overwhelms you. You get disappointed because the world has not changed so much as you wanted it to change. The world will change at its own pace. It has crores of people all over. All of them have aspirations. All of them have beliefs. So you do what you can do. And then you realize, well, I will do what I can. I got my limitations. So you understand your own limitations. Understanding one's limitation, making peace with yourself is a very important attribute of growing up. It happened to be. Now I'm at peace with myself. I will do what I can. And I will, to the last breath, make sure I do good to everybody. I will not harm anybody. I will not do things that are wrong. And I'll find my own happiness. So I want to end here by saying, leadership is a journey. Go through it. You'll enjoy it. Understand its challenges, understand its limitation, understand its benefits. And at the end of it, you must find your own salvation. You must find your own moksha. And that is the attribute of a complete human being. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mohandas Pai Garu, for those wonderful words of advice to our team here. We are so happy that you brought back the memories of our ancient history, and you also touched upon the leadership for the Indian freedom movement. It was so great of you and so nice of you that you touched upon the attributes and traits of Mahatma Gandhi, the father of the nation. We are sure that whatever has been advised by you, we will take it forward in our course curriculum. Some of it we have already covered, like mentors, we have already assigned mentors so that we handhold these youngsters and move forward. Topics like courage, self-confidence, leadership by example, vision, ability to withdraw whenever there's you have problems, and how do you face problems, analysis, all these things have been covered. It was so beautiful when you actually mentioned that one should know when to stop and when to go forward. And that was a great input for all of us. Yes, sir. We definitely know that flexibility is very important. And this is one attribute that every leader in our course, the young leaders have been spoken about it. Finally, sir, it was nice of you to talk about the legacy part of it. And you really rekindled the spirit of Sanatana Dharma to all our participants. Yes, we definitely know the sunrise and sunset concept. And thank you for telling us how to be happy in life and move forward. Thank you very much from the Sri Sai Seva organizations and the Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning. Jai Sai Ram.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sai Ram. Sai Ram. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Venkat. Thank you.
It is my honor and privilege today to introduce the next speaker, Sri Ratnakar Garu, the Managing Trustee of the Sri Sathya Sai Central Trust, Prashanthi Nilayam. Sri Ratnakar Garu grew up under the loving care and guidance of Bhagwan Baba. Bhagwan Baba molded him from a young age, preparing him to shoulder greater responsibilities in future. He graduated from the Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning with an MBA in 1991. He was also awarded the Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai All-Rounder Gold Medal in 1990. Sri Ratnakar Garu spent a decade in the corporate world in Bangalore, understanding the various aspects and working of an institution. In 2003, he relocated back to Puttaparthi under the divine directions. As a very first assignment, Bhagwan appointed him as the chairman of the Mother Ishwaramma High School in Puttaparthi. Later in March 2010, Bhagwan blessed him to be the trustee of the Sri Sathya Sai Central Trust Prashanthi Nilayam. As the youngest trustee of the Sri Sathya Sai Central Trust, Sri Ratnakar Garu guided many inspiring seva initiatives, some of which include housing projects in Kerala, solar electrification projects of Sathya Sai institutions in Puttaparthi, rural drinking water supply projects, and setting up of the Digital Archive Center, housing the life and message of Bhagwan Baba for posterity. In January 2020, the Board of Management of Trustees reposed confidence in his leadership and unanimously made him the Managing Trustee of the Sri Sathya Sai Central Trust Prashanthi Nilayam, the largest spiritual service trust in the world. He is also the trustee of the Sri Sathya Sai Sadhana Trust, Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, and Sri Sathya Sai Medical Trust. Last but not the least, he is an amazing speaker, and we've been fortunate to hear him address the students of the Sri Sathya Sai Bal Vikas Alumni Meet in Puttaparthi. I now request Sri Ratnakar Garu to address the students. Sai-Ram.
Om Shri Sai-Ram. Pranams at the lotus feet of our beloved Bhagwan. All India President Shri Nimesh Pandya ji, State Presidents, Office Bearers, and young brothers and sisters who have participated in this National Leadership Program. Very loving Sai-Ram to each one of you. I'm very happy that so many young brothers and sisters participated in this leadership program for last 9 months and spent almost 90 hours learning about Swami's teachings, the way Swami wanted all of us to conduct. I'm sure you are enriched and you have definitely grown in knowledge which you have acquired through this leadership program. Swami, all through his avataric mission, spent considerable amount of time shaping young people into good citizens. That is why he started his educational institutions. Right from first standard onwards, children were brought into the fold of Bhagwan. They were nurtured, they were shaped, and the institutions grew and become, even we have an university here. Till your postgraduate levels, PhD levels, you are acquiring worldly education. Along with that, you are also being shaped and suffused with human values. You are filled with all the good values which every human being should carry with them, so that they become very useful and good citizens of this country. A major part of avataric life was spent on this program alone, where many young children, young adults were brought into the fold, and they were given the lessons in how to mold ourselves to become, to fit into the society in a very useful manner. When we are learning the qualities or teachings of Bhagwan which he taught all of us, we become very good people. We are very respected even at home, respected in the community, respected in the society, respected in your area. Not because we are any way different, but we are part of the whole system. We care for each other. This leadership program, Swami has spoken a lot about being leaders, because he had started a MBA program in 1986. Swami used to even come to university and take classes for how to be a good leader. Swami always would say, it is not that I expect you to only preach, but practice is very important. In every discourse which he talked about leadership, he said, practice is very important than preaching. Pracharam kante acharam naku chala mukyamu, Swami would say. When you follow only, you become a good leader. A good follower becomes a good leader. Only by practicing, you can lead others. If you are asked to lead someone from one place to other place, if you do not know the path, how will you lead? To know the path, you should have walked that path particular way. So only by practice you can always preach. You can become a leader only by practicing. That's why Swami's beautiful quotation, beautiful saying, that my life is my message. He said, look at my life, look at the way I conduct, look at the way I speak, look at the way I interact. In every aspect of life, whatever he did, it's an exemplary, and for all of us, it's an example. He set an example for all of us, the way we conduct with elders, the way we conduct with the children, the way we should conduct with authorities, the way we should conduct with the normal, regular citizens. In every way. He would say, you may not always oblige, but you can speak obligingly. That means what? He said, you speak softly, you speak lovingly, you speak in a way which endears everybody. Throughout his life, he practiced that. Whenever Swami spoke, people just melted because the way he spoke. Even to say no, he would say very lovingly no. You will not have any even iota of feeling when he said no, because it's conveyed so softly, so beautifully. So a leader is someone who is very, very determined. Swami would say, determination is not stubbornness. Determination is focus. Determination is not losing the sight of what you want to achieve, what you want to do. In fact, every avatar has led by an example. Rama went to Vasishtha for his schooling. Krishna went to Sandipani Ashram for his schooling. They are the avatars themselves. They know everything. They are the entire knowledge is with them. But why did they go to schools? Why did they go to Guru? Why did they go to an ashram to study? Because they wanted to tell everybody that's the way you should conduct yourself. If you see in our Indian context itself, when we were ruled by British, the freedom struggle, everybody were very, very keen to get the freedom, but who has to lead the masses? So Mahatma Gandhi got a chance to be a leader. He could inspire people at a large numbers, and he can move them in one particular direction. Leaders can be international leaders. There are international leaders. There are national leaders. Then you can be a state leader. You can be a district leader. You can also be a division leader, or your village leader, or a leader at a family. In a family, one person can be leading. People will look up to him. Maybe he may not be good in community. He can lead only a family, but he may not be good in community or in that society, in that particular area. Somebody who is a village leader need not be a district leader. They have their own limitations. How do we lead, or how do you suffuse yourself with good qualities? That is why Swami said, practice. Practice something, one value at least what you have learnt in last 9 months. Then you will see the difference it makes to your lives. Swami would say, one value if you practice, you will be much, much better off. At least stick to something. Every great leader, every leader has some very, very unique qualities in them. Many a times we tend to criticize, and we can tend to see only the negative side of it. 95% of them they are very good. A lot of advantages those leaders. Maybe 4-5%, but that it comes with every human being. There are shortcomings in every human being, but we don't need to focus on the negative side. A good leader is always positive outlook. You should always have a positive outlook to be a good leader. Because you will not be able to really have everybody cut out to your own thinking. you need to adapt. A good leader should be able to adapt to any situation. When Swami was here, he did not get any great engineering marvel, engineering giants or engineering experts to build all this, whatever he has built. These are normal people who built it. This entire organization, entire hospitals, institutions were done by normal people. Entire ashram is built by not very great expert engineers. Normal people, when they are charged, they are able to achieve greater things. You see in every aspect how Bhagavan has done that. Normal people done extraordinary work. Very ordinary people have done extraordinary work. How? Because he enthused them. He created that faith and confidence in them. Once a person is full of confidence and positivity, he can achieve anything. You become a leader when you are positive, you have that positive energy. Only with that you will be able to excel in everything what you are doing. Even a student for that matter, he is able to get, maybe how is he able to get a first rank? Because he is focused. He has an aim. And not only have an aim and focus, you should work for it. A leader should also have a habit of hard work. If you don't do hard work, there is no easy path to success. So you need to have focus, you need to be determined, you need to be hardworking, you need to be honest. You should be able to walk the extra mile. You need to be positive. Only then you will be able to lead. Swami, if you see in every aspect of whatever he has achieved, we tend to say Swami is an avatar, is God, and he has been able to do it. But many times you really sit and analyze, he has made us only as instruments to achieve all that. How it has been possible? Because he gave us the confidence, gave us the faith, and gave us that positivity in our outlook that you can do it, you will be able to achieve it. That's why we have done it. And today, after Mahasamadhi, last 10 years, the institution is growing, institution is doing very well. How we are doing? Because that faith, that positive blessing which Swami has given to all of us, which is able to see through this institution, and it is so beautifully running. People never expected such things are going to happen. It's not any extraordinary people we are here. It's ordinary people, but definitely we need to have what Swami said, devotion, dedication. In Shirdi Baba says, Shraddha and Saburi. You should have faith, you should have patience. A leader should also have patience. There are no shortcuts in life. You need to be patient. You sow a seed, it's not going to become a tree and give fruits the day after tomorrow. You need to nurture it. You need to put manure. You should protect it from animals. Once it grows, it's not going to just give you fruits just next day. Everything has its own gestation period. So one should be patient. So all these qualities, when you are able to pack into yourself, you automatically become a leader. You don't, by reading Harvard books or you are going to Cambridge, it doesn't make you leader. It becomes empty talk. You can really give very good lectures, you can write very good dossiers, you can do all that. But are you a leader? A leader is someone who is hands-on, who is able to work in the field, who knows the pulse of the people in the field. Then he can be leader. A leader is someone who can empathize people with his own colleagues, the people who are working with him. Always you remember, as if you want to be good leaders, you have to carry the people with you completely. You need to think the way what they are expecting. You need to, many times it can happen that you are at loggerheads with them, or you have a different view, they have a different view. Sit down, talk to each other. The sum and substance of the whole thing is, we are in a place where we need to work through heart than mind. then you will become a leader. This is being a spiritual organization. Sri Satya Sai Seva organization is being a spiritual organization, and you are getting training. I am so happy that you are exposed to this kind of a beautiful learning, because Swami's teachings, Baba's teachings are very, very wholesome and creates a beautiful human being out of each one of us, each one of you. It is to make you a good human being. Nobody can be a great leader, a good leader without being a good human being. So you become yourself good. Each time you want to do, you want to take any decision or conduct any act, the best parameter is just pause a while. Ask yourself, by doing this, what am I achieving? Many times young people just do impulsively, they talk impulsively. Just pause a while, make it a habit. Pause a while, think for a minute. Say, by saying this, am I achieving what I want? If you're not sure of you want, first learn that, what you be very clear about it. By doing something, are you achieving what you have designed to achieve? So every time it should be focused and very focusedly driven. Then you will be very successful. And with all the values which you are learning, if you are able to exemplify yourself into a good human being, definitely you will become a good leader. And don't become a leader by tag. Just because they put you are a leader, team leader, you don't become a team leader. You have the qualities to lead, then you become a leader. That's how the entire nations are led by people who need not be educated, need not be. They may not have even schooling. People have led. We have seen people who are great leaders who are not having a formal education, but they have qualities. They're positive. They're focused. They're very kind at heart. They speak, they think. They think for the people whom they are leading. They can put themselves into the shoes of people and feel for them. So, with all these positive aspects, you become a good leader. That amply was demonstrated by Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba in every walk of life. You take anything, he has established educational institutions, he has established medical institutions, he had carried out such huge social service projects. And all of them were carried out from people who are ordinary. That has been possible only because he encouraged, he gave positive inputs, he directed us in such a way that we feel confident about each one of us. That's how the great things are achieved. Great things are not achieved by great people, but ordinary people doing great things. So, you are all now come into the fold of Bhagavan. I wish you all have benefited from this program. Just learning and taking a certificate that is fine for this particular program. But take this and imbibe for your own self, not for anybody else. Every teaching of Bhagavan is for each individual. Once you imbibe, once you make it part of your life, you will see that it's a miraculous work. Wish you all the very best. Keep this beautiful learning intact in your hearts. Keep coming back to this beautiful place, Prashanti Nilayam. Keep in touch with all the people who have helped you to come into this system. And be part of this divine mission. You learn, I know you have a lot of people who are coming for the first time, people who have come from different walks of life. Here nothing is expected from you except that make you good. make you useful. And in any society, Baba has given a very, very beautiful teaching, which we don't need to further titrate and find new things. Swami said, love all, serve all. Such a simple dictum. This is a service organization. This is an organization to spread love. And I am sure by being part of that, you will always fulfill your lives. God bless you. Thank you. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram. Thank you, Sri R.J. Ratnakar Garu, for your loving words of encouragement to all of us. We are sure your direction will help us mold ourselves to be worthy instrument in the mission of Sri Satya Sai, serving the society with love and compassion. Thank you once again, sir. We shall definitely live up to the expectations of one and all. Thank you once again. Jai Sai Ram.
Om Shri Sai Ram. Now I have the wonderful privilege of introducing our Honorable Chancellor, Shri K. Chakravarti Garu. Shri Krishnamacharya Chakravarti Garu, an accomplished person, an overachiever by any measure, was inducted into the prestigious civil services, the IAS, at the very age of 24. He graduated in economics and law. He came to Bhagwan in the year 1975 and was struck by a sentence that Bhagwan said, I may be new to you, but you are not new to me. And life thereafter changed for Chakravarti Garu. At the very peak of his career in the IAS, he had many important positions, whether it be district magistrate and collector of Anantapur district, former finance secretary projects, government of Andhra Pradesh, former commissioner relief, commissioner commercial taxes, etc. At the very peak of his career, he shifted his gears from IAS to SAI. And life thereafter changed completely. He was the first registrar of the Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning. Then he was the secretary and the trustee of the Sri Satya Sai Central Trust. He is currently guiding the path of the Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning as the 4th Honorable Chancellor. And without much delay, I would request Shri K. Chakravarti Garu to address the gathering. Shri K. Chakravarti Garu.
My prayerful salutations at the lotus feet of Bhagwan. The Sri Satya Sai National Leadership Program is a commendable effort. I am sure the subjects included in the program were found useful. Sri Satya Sai organization is a spiritual organization. We must ask ourselves what kind of leadership must be there in a spiritual organization. There is substantial divine guidance provided through discourses and writings of Bhagwan. That must be the basic study material for any program organized by us. The program must reflect the concern for our own culture. From faith in God to Shad Darshanas, a wide range of subjects must be taught to the students. We must provide the true Indian perspective of our history. The philosophies expounded by the three Acharyas, Adi Shankara, Ramanujacharya and Madhvacharya, must be discussed. The leadership program must aim to develop cultural ambassadors in the villages. There must be an inclination to a spiritual attitude to life in the participants. Spiritual living is a greater challenge. The organization must be saturated with Swami's teachings. The organization is an association of spiritual aspirants. Every act of service done is to elevate oneself by receiving the blessings of the one who is served. Bhagwan said in 1973, quote, if one who understands the spirit of service becomes a leader, that leader will always retain and enjoy his leadership through service. Without understanding service and first becoming a servant, one cannot become a leader. In 2009, in one of the last discourses that Bhagavan blessed us with, he said, quote, "Only those who have self-confidence can become real leaders. Therefore, develop self-confidence and serve society. Develop compassion towards poor people and try to protect them. Offer food and clothes to them and show them the right path. You need not do what is beyond your capacity. Whatever little you can afford to do, do it in such a way that it gives maximum results." Unquote. Going forward, it will be better to formulate the program as uniquely designed for youngsters who have joined the Sri Satya Sai Seva organization in the last few years. It will be useful to have details about the number of youngsters who joined Sri Satya Sai Seva organization state-wise, along with their academic background and professional work. It is better to have the breakup of the figures separately for the metropolitan areas and the rural areas. I believe that there may not be much of a need for change required between these two groups because of the essential nature of Seva, irrespective of the region where Seva is undertaken. While there may be a significant part of the training program common for both groups of young Sevadal, it may be worthwhile to see if there is any special emphasis required for these distinct groups. It is better that we confine ourselves to a group of people who have already decided to join the organization in the spirit of Seva with its specific spiritual orientation. Well, on the subject of providing leadership training, I may as well dwell a little on the need to provide a link between the early training afforded by Sri Satya Sai Seva organization to the boys and girls while in their school and this program, which attempts to prepare persons who have come out of colleges and universities for an active role in Sri Satya Sai Seva organization. It is in this context that we should devote a little time in considering the possibility of providing a formal training in human values for those who complete the current third group. I believe that an introduction of such a course will provide a vital link between the current Bal Vikas program and the present attempt at providing training for leadership roles in Sri Satya Sai Seva organization. In other words, a formal program for boys and girls beyond the third group has to be formulated. It is a matter of detail whether the training program for this group is to be designated as pre-Sevadal group or young adult group or any other name. In the Indian context, you have boys and girls completing their third group when they are 14 or 15 years old. The program for those who are in the age group of 15 to 17 years has to be designed after a detailed discussion with some of the state Bal Vikas and youth coordinators, and also some of those who have already gone through training in third group. The nature of the program concerning this group will have to be formulated in the current context of the wide use of technology and its impact. A working group may be set up consisting of about 12 to 15 persons to study and submit recommendations to the state presidents and the All India President of Sri Satya Sai Seva organization, leading to the finalization of syllabus. It will be useful to link this program to the leadership program in the organization so that those who volunteer to be members of the Sri Satya Sai Seva organization are well trained and motivated. I therefore request the All India President and various state presidents of the Sri Satya Sai Seva organization to take effective steps to bring into being a 2 or 3 year program after the completion of the third group by the Bal Vikas students. The All India President of the Sri Satya Sai Seva organization may, in consultation with the Director of the Sri Satya Sai Center for Human Values in Prashanthi Nilayam, prepare a plan of action which can then be adopted for implementation. As you may see, I have taken the opportunity of this valedictory function to suggest that the All India Sri Satya Sai Seva organization provide a program which will serve as a vital link between the Bal Vikas program as it exists and the presently implemented leadership program. May Bhagwan bless you all. Thank you.
Sai Ram. On behalf of all the participants, we wholeheartedly thank you, Honorable Chancellor of Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Sri K. Chakravarti IAS, retired, for giving us clear direction as to how we need to lead our lives in the days to come. Thank you once again for your guidance. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram. Now, on behalf of all of us who are present here online and to all the devotees who are watching across the globe, I pray to Bhagwan to bless us all with His divine discourse. Dearest Swami, please bless us with your divine discourse. Jai Sai Ram.
Youngsters,
మొదలు చెప్పినట్టుగా అన్నింటికీ మూల కారణము క్యారెక్టర్.
as Bhagavan said at the beginning, character is main thing, most
మన
important.
శీలము, మన గుణము, మన ప్రవర్తన, మన నడత చక్కగా ఉంటుంటే మనకంటే మించిన వారి చరిత్రలు మరొకరు లేరు.
When once our character, our behavior, our conduct are perfect, none can excel you.
మీరందరూ కూడా ఒక 10 మంది ఒక గ్రామానికి సేవకు వెళ్తారు.
10 of you go to a village for
ఆ
service.
విలేజ్ లో ప్రవేశించేటప్పుడు మీరు ఎట్లా ఉండాలి?
How should you conduct yourself there in a village?
సైలెంట్గా ఉండాలి.
You should be very silent.
చాలా ప్రశాంతంగా ఉండాలి.
You should maintain peace there.
చిరునవ్వుతో ఉండాలి.
You should be smiling.
అంతేగాని అని నవ్వుకుంటూ పోకూడదు.
You can smile, but you should not laugh.
ఊరికే బయట వారికంతా అశాంతినిచ్చేటట్టుగా గట్టిగా మాట్లాడుకుంటూ పోకూడదు.
You should not talk loudly, disturbing the environment.
ఎవరు ఈ రౌడీ గ్యాంగ్ వస్తున్నది మా గ్రామానికి, గ్రామస్తులు కూడా చాలా భయపడిపోతారు.
The locals will think the rowdy gang is there in their village. They will be fear stricken.
కనుక మనం అట్లాంటి చెడ్డ పేరుకు మనకు గురి కాకూడదు.
We should not get a bad name.
పూర్తిగా వెళ్ళాలి.
We should go
వినయంగా పోవాలి.
go with humility. Go with all humility.
ఏ నవ్వులు కానీ ఏ చూపులు కానీ అపవిత్రంగా మనం ప్రవేశపెట్టకూడదు.
You should not talk loudly and you should never have bad looks.
పనిలో ప్రవేశించండి.
Start working there.
పనిలో ప్రవేశిస్తే మాటలకు ఏమాత్రం అవకాశం ఉండదు.
When once you start working, you don't need to speak.
మాట్లాడేటువంటి వాడు పని చేయడు.
The one who talks will not work.
పని చేసేవాడు మాట్లాడు.
The one who works will not talk.
ఈ సత్యాన్ని మీరు జ్ఞాపకం తెచ్చుకుంటూ ఉండండి.
Remind this truth.
నిజంగా పని చేసేవాడు మాట్లాడకూడదు.
The true worker will not
మాట్లాడితే పని చేయలేడు.
Because if he talks, he can't work.
కనుక ఈనాడు మనము ఏ విధంగా నడుచుకోవాలనేటువంటిది జీవితంలో చాలా కొత్తగా మనము నూతనమైనటువంటి యొక్క చాప్టర్గా తీసుకోవాలి.
So we should start a new chapter and learn how to live hereafter.
కనుక మీరు ఏ విధమైన దీంట్లో కూడా సందేహపడనక్కర్లేదు.
Never doubt in any
దైవ
way.
విశ్వాసాన్ని పెంచుకోండి.
Develop faith in God.
సేవను మీరు అభివృద్ధి పరచుకోండి.
Develop, grow in service.
సేవ ద్వారానే మీ జీవితం అనేటువంటి సార్థకమవుతుంది.
Through service you can redeem your life.
ఈ యొక్క మాటలను పవిత్రమైన సూత్రములుగా మీరు భావించుకోవాలి.
Consider these words, Bhagwan's message as the
ఇంకా 10
sacred
మంది
message.
మీరు పెంచాలి.
You should grow more and more.
ఒక్కొక్క వ్యక్తి ఒక్కొక్క 100 మందిని పెంచుకుంటుంటే దేశమంతా ఎంత బాగుపడుతుంది.
Every person should spread and share 100 each.
కనుక ప్రతి ఒక్కరికి కూడా ప్లస్ 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 చేస్తున్నాం.
Like this you can go on adding.
అప్పుడే జగత్తునంతా ఏకమైపోతుంది.
Then the whole world will be one.
అప్పుడే సర్వము ఏకాత్మ భావం కుదిరిపోతుంది.
Then you have this principle of unity, oneness.
మీరు ఈ 4 దినములకు ఎంతో మంచిగా ప్రవర్తించారు, మంచి బిహేవియర్గా ఉన్నారు. మంచి మేనర్స్ కూడా సంపాదించుకోవాలి. కానీ కొన్ని దాంట్లో ఇమోషనల్ ఎక్సైట్మెంట్ అంతా కూడా ఉండాలి. అది కొంచెం చల్లార్చుకోవాలి.
You have behaved in an excellent way, with good habits, with good conduct and behavior all these 4 days. Because of emotion, out at times there were certain disturbances.
కంట్రోల్ చేసుకుంటే మీరెంతైనా ఆదర్శవంతమైనటువంటి జీవులుగా ఉంటారు.
If you control your emotion, you can be ideals.
మాటలు తగ్గించుకోండి.
Reduce your talk.
కొంతవరకు సత్యాన్ని గుర్తించండి.
Know the truth.
పవిత్రతను పెంచుకోండి.
Grow in sacredness.
జీవితాన్ని ఆనందంగా జీవించండి.
Make your life blissful.
హ్యాపీ. ఏది హ్యాపీ?
We say happiness. What is that happiness?
జీవితంలో ఏది హ్యాపీ లేదు.
Nothing is happiness.
అంత అప్పటికప్పటికి వస్తుంది, అప్పటికప్పటికి అంత పాసింగ్.
Things come then and there itself and they pass on.
కానీ పర్మనెంట్ అనేటువంటి హ్యాపీ ఒక దైవత్వంతో మాత్రమే ఉండాలి.
The permanent happiness is with God only.
ఇది హార్ట్ టు హార్ట్, లవ్ టు లవ్.
Is a connection heart to heart, love to love.
ఇదే మీరు పెంచుకోవాలి.
This you should develop.
ఇది మీ యొక్క నిజమైనటువంటి యొక్క భక్తి ప్రపత్తులకు సరైన నిదర్శనం.
This is the true proof of your devotion and sincerity.
స్వామి యొక్క ఆశీర్వాదములు అమితంగా ఉంటున్నాయి. మీరు సుఖంగా, శాంతిగా, ఆనందంగా భక్తి ప్రపత్తులతో జీవించి దేశానికి సరైనటువంటి యొక్క సేవలు చేయాలని నేను ఆశీర్వదిస్తూ నా ప్రసంగాన్ని
Om Sai Ram. Offering my loving salutation at the lotus feet of our most beloved Bhagwan, Shri Satya Sai Baba. And Sai Ram to all of you. On this auspicious occasion, as we bring the first convocation of the certificate course on Shri Satya Sai National Leadership Program for Self-Transformation to a close, on behalf of entire team, would like to take this opportunity to thank our revered guest Padma Shri Mohan Das Pai for taking out his valuable time and sharing his inspiring message with the convocation students. Honorable Shri K. Chakravarti Sir, Chancellor Shri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Shri Ratnakar Garu, Managing Trustee Shri Satya Sai Central Trust, Shri Nimish Pandya, All India President Shri Satya Sai Seva Organization, Honorable Professor Shri C. V. Sanjeevi, Vice Chancellor Shri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Professor B. Sayangiridhar, Registrar Shri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Dr. Gopi Peditala, Convener Shri Satya Sai National Leadership Program, respected State President, revered trainers, National Academic Board members, National Core Team members, all the leaders and members of Shri Satya Sai Seva Organization, Shri Satya Sai Central Trust, Shri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning for their constant guidance and support. I humbly thank all the students for their wholehearted participation in this 9 months. I'm reminded of an experience narrated by one of our satsang facilitator. A beautiful scene where a boy got a birthday gift for Bhagwan and Bhagwan lovingly replied, and what Bhagwan mentioned here is very important for all of us to know. Sai says, all Sai require is your good qualities and values. Love toward all mankind as they are your brothers and sisters. Thought that they are your best friends should be cultivated. We should not participate in community service only. We should also ensure that we let go of our selfishness. What kind of community service, Bhagwan further lovingly explains in his says, which is filled with purity and feeling of loving service. Let's give this pure and loving community seva to Bhagwan. This is the gift Sai wishes. Swami yearns for this gift of brotherhoodness and friendship with purity and loving service. Till the time we are ready to give this gift for what Bhagwan's pine for, let's continue Sangha Seva, community service. Love all, serve all. Help ever, hurt never. At last, best wishes for the great future filled with Sai to our first batch of Shri Satya Sai National Leadership Program for Self-Transformation Batch 2020. Above all, my sincere gratitude to Bhagwan for his love and benediction on all of us for giving us this wonderful opportunity to be the instrument in His divine mission. We offer our today's session at the lotus feet of Bhagwan Shri Satya Sai Baba. Jai Sai Ram.
Janani Janma Bhumischa Swargadapi Gariyasi. Mother and motherland are superior even to the heaven. We now request each one of you, wherever you are, to please stand up for the national anthem. We shall have Harati after the national anthem.
Offering our loving pranams to Bhagavan on this auspicious occasion, on behalf of all of us, we now offer Mangal Arati to Bhagavan. Jai Sai Ram.
Om Jai Jagadish Hare Swami Satya Sai Hare Bhakta Jana Samrakshak Bhakta Jana Samrakshak Pati Maheshwara Om Jai Jagadish Hare Shashivadana Shrikara Sarva Pranapati Swami Sarva Pranapati Ashrita Kalpalatika Ashrita Kalpalatika Abhatandhava Om Jai Jagadish Hare Mata Pita Guru Daivamu Mariyantayu Nive Swami Mariyantayu Nive Nada Brahma Jagannatha Nada Brahma Jagannatha Nagendra Shayana Om Jai Jagadish Hare Omkara Rupa Ojasvi Ho Sai Mahadeva Satya Sai Mahadeva Mangala Arati Anduko Mangala Arati Anduko Mandala Giridhari Om Jai Jagadish Hare Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana 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 Om Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om Jai Sadguru Deva Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana 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 Om Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om Jai Sadguru Deva Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana 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 Om Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om Jai Sadguru Deva Om Shanti समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय।
ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्।